Nobody serenades you but me, Bats. Take it away, boys. Take me on home to the asylum. Never alone in the asylum. Anarchy ruled, it was wild, but through it all you never smiled. Joke's on you, I'm in your head, so look who's laughing now. Remember in Arkham City, I killed your girl, so pretty. That was the night you let me die. But when I looked you in the eye, that's when I knew we'd be together. Look who's laughing now. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah! I feel you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I am the clown, prince of crime. And we've had a hell of a time. You're part of me, I'm part of you. And now there's nothing left to do. I just can't wait till I'm in control. Who'll be laughing then? I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. Oh yeah, I think I can taste your fear. Now that my time is near, I'm in your blood, I'm so alive. I only wish you'd let me drive. It won't be long till I make you kill. Who'll be laughing then? Barbara's dead and I'm laughing. Ah! Jason Todd's dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm even dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. I drove you round the bend and I'm laughing. I'm with you till the end and I can't stop laughing. I killed all your friends and I can't stop laughing. I'm cock-a-doodle-doo. All because of you. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. Ah, I fill you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm stuck in your head and I'm laughing. I filled you with dread and I can't stop laughing. Your parents are dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do? Now I'm part of you. There's nothing like a comeback, is there, Matt? Let's go again.
Attend the tale of Maxwell Roth. He sought the footlights like a moth, his sense of timing never off until he opted to collaborate with a hooded reprobate. The blighter and assassin made a deadly double bill. Jokes, 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 make 'em laugh until they choke. Fairly slay 'em in the aisles, maidens fair and princes charming. Thrills, 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 dashing feats and bloody spills, and I guarantee you'll never see the ending coming. The curtain rose, the scene was set, they danced a murderous duet, and much deserving blood was let up to the scene wherein they disagreed on who should live and who should bleed, and Maxwell Rothy then received a very bad review. Jokes, 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 and there's daggers and there's cloaks, but behind the scenes the leading players differ on the plot. Laugh, laugh, laugh at the dandy's new red scarf. Now 8 shows a week to Beelzebub is his eternal lot. Jokes, 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 make 'em laugh until they choke. Fairly slay 'em in the aisles, maidens fair and princes charming. Thrills, 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 dashing feats and bloody spills, and I guarantee you'll never see the ending coming.
Yeah. The ending just kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it? Sure did. Sure did. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Nothing? No, didn't think so. Just going to sit there. Cringe. How are you guys doing? Aloha indeed, my friend. Aloha to you too. Aloha and alo. I don't know how you're supposed to do it. I did visit Hawaii one time, and it was lovely. It was lovely. And yes, they did all do the aloha, chihu. They did that a lot. What were some of the other ones? There were some other things, but it felt very touristy. It felt like, okay, I don't think this is a real thing. I think this is just what you do for tourists. But it was a vibe. It was a vibe. One of our family members lived there for like a year, and she, for like a solid 6 months when she got back, would always say, yeah, so I lived on the Big Island in Hawaii. It's like, you were born in like South Carolina, okay? I don't think you get to say Hawaii. Like it's like going to a Mexican restaurant and ordering like the burrito or something. Like, it's just, what are we doing? What are we doing? Hawaii. So now every time I see Hawaii, I want to go Hawaii. It's just in my blood, How are you guys doing though? Greetings from Poland. Good to see you. Happy World Cup thingy. Happy World Cup thingy indeed, my friend. Much love to all of you who like the world and cups. We're glad to have you. Someone stole my sweet roll there. That's a shame. That's a shame. It's tragic. It's tragic. Buttery Cheeks, thank you. Luke, given the recent Xbox news, do you think Double Fine is in danger? Their last two games, Keeper and Kiln, both peaked under 200 players on Steam. We're going to talk about it. Because I do think that there's... If we were feeling positive and optimistic about everything after the Xbox showcase, that is about to stop pretty forcefully, because it looks like July is going, I mean, there's going to be blood in the streets. And I don't say that with joy. I don't say that with happiness. I'm saying that because some of the stuff we're going to go through here is so patently insane that like, it's on the verge where, like, if any company, if like a franchisee of like a McDonald's or something had these stats, they would have shut down 6 months ago. Like, their stats and the financial health of Xbox is so non-existent that it's bad. It's real bad. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But as for Double Fine specifically, I'd like to think that they are enough of like a trophy studio that they wouldn't shut them down or like downsize or something. But you just never know. I mean, at some point, I think what Asha is struggling with is that at some point it does become like a matter of just business. If your games are releasing and barely moving any copies, like, what are you going to do? To be fair, a game like Kiln or whatever it was, it was Keeper, like, those are games that you're probably not buying at full price. You're probably playing those through Xbox primarily. Like, they're the ultimate Game Pass game. It's not a game that you're probably going to spend a lot of money on. But if Xbox is going through and trying to decide which studio lives and which one gets downsized and which one gets cut, like, if this was your last game, I don't think you're like, I don't think you're safe. And again, I don't say that with joy. I love Double Fine. Psychonauts phenomenal. But like, let's just be realistic about this. If your stats are like that, I even on Steam, even with Game Pass, I mean, there's plenty of games that launch on Game Pass and still have insane stats on Steam. Like Forza. I mean, dude. Forza. Look at this. Dude, there's still 100,000 players. And this is on Game Pass. You know, so I hope not. But it looks like it's going to start with the marketing staff and then some other people in like the corporate offices. That's where the layoffs are going to begin. But as the last handful of days have gone by, more and more people are starting to think that there may be more aggressive cuts elsewhere. Just because, like, right now, as people have mentioned, and I'll go into more specifics, but they would literally make more money if they had two options. They can spend $100 million on Fallout New Vegas remake, or they can spend, well, that's kind of a safer bet, I would argue, but $100 million on a game that they think is probably going to do pretty well. They can spend $100 million there, or they can spend $100 million and just put it in a high yield savings account that anybody can get. They would make more money with the savings account. Their margins are so tight because their expenses are way too damn high. Like, that just doesn't work. That doesn't make sense, because all of business is about balancing risk and reward. And if you are at the point where the reward for risk is basically non-existent, your business can't function. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So, we'll talk about it, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of trouble. Having said that, Tuti, I think, thank you for that. Luke, if you're not too busy with your candles, I sent you a chat about the Discord invite on X. Love the vids and live streams. Thank you, my friend. I will make a note to go check that out. Thank you. Yes, we are overhauling the memberships and all that stuff. The connection between YouTube and Discord and Twitch and Discord, we're going to have to like figure out, because some of the new stuff we want to do requires that integration. And so like the brute force method where we just get you a direct link doesn't work the same way. So we'll have to figure it out. But we're meeting with some people about that specifically. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you. Bensuolo, I think. Thank you for that. You are great, my friend. The Quantico Man. Thank you for the very generous 10. How far should Ubisoft go with remakes? Do they stop at AC3 or do they keep going? What are the chances they start remaking Far Cry? I think the remakes, they can make good money with it. The problem is Ubisoft is struggling to make even the mainline entries in the games. So if they want to just turn into the remake factory, they can do that. But I don't think that works forever. And honestly, there are some games that I think work better for remakes than others. I think Black Flag works great. I think AC2 would work great. AC3, though, is a weird game because it came in the middle of the transitionary period between old school and new school Assassin's Creed. So it's like half open world, half dynamic systems with like simulating the fleets that you've got. Like it's almost there, but it came at a really weird time where it just wasn't quite ready. And so I think a remake of that would feel kind of janky and weird. Now a full remake where they actually build out those systems could be really cool, and they realize the full vision of what they originally wanted to do. That could be awesome, but whether or not they can do that or that makes sense is another question. It's a lot easier said than done. And inevitably when you start changing stuff, some people will throw a fit, even if the changes are good. If they overhaul and like fully build out sailing in AC3, which they originally wanted to do, if they completely go back in and they unify the maps, if they start doing all these things, there's going to be people complaining regardless. And so it's just hard to say. The other thing is that you just frankly need the fandom to be really hyped about it. Black Flag makes the most sense as far as remakes are concerned because it's like the biggest one, fan favorite. It makes sense. AC3, I don't think is that high. Like AC2, I think would do really well, but like AC3, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that's the play. And I'm saying that as somebody that I like AC3. It's wacky and weird. Connor has all the charisma of a damp paper towel, but other than that, I think it's pretty good. I love the stuff they did with Haytham. I love the narrative implications of everything they did, but I don't know if that works as well with a remake, I'm not sure. But having said that, Caleb, thank you for that 10 as well. I still haven't forgiven DF for releasing Space-Based DF9 in early access and then not even 2 years later release the game after doing next to nothing and closing the game. Was a big scam. Dude, it's unfortunate how many examples there are in the industry of like these games that kind of do the cut and run thing. Sometimes it's like intentional and it's like, I think that was a scam. Other times it just sucks and there's nothing you can do about it because it's like broader issues. Like the best example of that is Kerbal Space Program 2, where they were working on it, everything was going well, and then they just shut down the studio. So like the studio making KSP2, they didn't want to stop working on it, but the studio was shut down. Yeah, Take-Two Interactive was aiming to shut down Intercept Games in May 24. Company denied these claims, which was later reaffirmed by the CEO, Strauss Zelnick. Former developers in the studio, such as design manager Quinn Duffy, claimed otherwise, indicating that the team would be laid off June 28, 2024. In November 24, they sold Private Division to an unspecified investor, and they just dumped it. So sometimes it's like a tactical, they were trying to just cut and run, get the cash grab and leave. Other times it's like this, and they didn't do anything wrong. They were working on the game, but they just, I mean, the studio shut down. There's nothing you can do. So it's too bad. It's too bad, but what are you gonna do? Well, thank you for that. Finally got around to playing 007. What a game. Haven't felt engaged since Uncharted 4. Much more forgiving than Hitman. Played on my 4050 Legion. Was shocked by how it played smooth and looked good. Dude, I love 007. It's definitely one of my favorite games of this year so far. It's just really good. It's just really good. I mean, what else is there to say? And it is exactly what I was hoping it would be, which is this melding of Uncharted and Hitman. It's not trying to do either of those extremes purely. It's trying to make its own thing, mixing the two. And there's area for improvement. There's things that I think they could overhaul and improve in a sequel. So it's not like a perfect game or anything, but what it is a game I really, really like. So yeah, highly recommend 007 if you haven't played it yet. Let's chat. Thank you for that, 10. If you had to choose between Double Fine or Compulsion to shut down, which one would you choose? Bro, that's so mean. That's so mean to ask me that question. Makes me so sad, but I think these are the two that could be hit the hardest. Also, not sure how to join the Discord. Click the gear button to go settings. There's a tab labeled connections. Connect your YouTube account to Discord. Wait patiently, and then it should automatically invite you to the server. As for which one, I think the saving grace and the potential why one of them might dodge issues is because they're not particularly big studios. Like if you trim the headcount at any one of the Call of Duty studios by 10%, you're probably saving more money than laying off all of Compulsion Games or all of Double Fine. So because they're small, they don't actually make up that big of an expense, which could be their secret weapon, for staying afloat, that they can kind of just stay under the radar effectively. So we'll see. But at the same time, I mean, if Asha is looking at it, trying to run it like a business, does she want to lay people off at their, like, one of the few studios that's really making a lot of money? Because even when Call of Duty has a bad year, it still makes millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. It's ridiculous, but that's just how it is. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Real quick, little tidbit of news. Might have missed it, but just a little something for you. It looks like, according to publicly available records, the Nintendo lawsuit against Palworld developer Pocket Pair, it looks like it's basically tying up, and that it basically went nowhere, which is kind of awesome, frankly. Nintendo wanted to block Palworld. Now it faces a 0% chance and a measly $30K payout. This is, of course, from Windows Central, where they actually went and found some of these public records that describe some of this. Oh my God, the ads are crazy. Let's see. Fast forward to today. Palworld 1.0 is about to launch on July 10th. A report from patent litigation experts at Games Fray reveals that the stakes in Nintendo's case have practically shrunk to nothing ahead of the Tokyo District Court hearing on October 1st. At this point, Nintendo has little to no chance of halting Palworld in its tracks, and even if they win any of the remaining technical arguments, the maximum payout is capped at a measly $30,000. This chump change is hardly a victory for Nintendo. Bro, they probably spent more than that on lawyers for the initial paperwork filing. Like, that's not what they wanted. They wanted to, like, get the game shut down forever. That was their goal, was shut down Palworld. You can't do the throw balls at monsters thing. Like, that's patented. Like, they didn't want any of that to be allowed. And it looks like they're just, fighting over pedantic individual little lines in the code and legal code and hoping that they can win something. Pocket Bear is going all in for the 1.0, promising the biggest content drop in the game's history, including access to the mysterious world tree and more brand new pals than any other previous update. Bucky even showed this, one of the many, many, many new pals you can meet in Pal World 1.0. Look at that. Look at that. So it's kind of amazing, but Nintendo seemingly has achieved pretty much nothing with the lawsuit. And we'll see in October, like, what that looks like. But my understanding is that how it stands right now, the only kind of bullet points that they are arguing over that haven't been dropped have max payouts totaling $30,000. And there's no such, I mean, they can't just get the whole game blocked according to how the law is written in Japan. So how it is right now is that, like, they might get a vacation, a nice vacation out of it as a settlement, and then it's just done, which is kind of crazy. But it always felt to me like so nasty for them to be suing Pal World. Like, yeah, they took something we all can agree it's heavily inspired by Pokemon, to say the very least, but it is effectively the Pokemon game that Nintendo was incapable of delivering, and then they do it way better than Nintendo could. And then Nintendo's reaction is not to go, why were they beat it? Why do people love this so much more than what we've been doing? No, I don't want to think about it. Sue them. Like, it was so stupid. I guess I should clarify. Yes, Pokemon stuff still sells millions and millions of copies, even when people agree that, like, they're technical disasters or unoptimized or not that different from the previous game. Yes, they still sell very, very well, but there's certainly a lot of angst. And there's people on the sidelines like myself where I'm not that interested in modern Pokemon games just because they all seem to kind of blend together. But I played Pal World. It was a good time. It was a really good time. It was different, you know? Technically, I don't know where you'd put Pal World. I think technically if it's in the survivor or survival category because of, like, base building, resource collection, I think it technically fits in the survival category, but I'm sure there's more nuance to which category it fits into. To Pokemon, or to Nintendo's credit, they did eventually come out with Pokopia, and that seemed to connect with people. That was a fun kind of fresh take. But yeah, this lawsuit always felt really, really petty and stupid, and it looks like it is going nowhere. So there you go. Survival crafting collector game. Sure. So yeah, sure. How is that like Pokemon? Do I need to explain the pals being like almost 1-to-1 to Pokemon? No, I think we're being silly. Will we see anything from Naughty Dog before year end? I don't think so. I mean, the fact that you can go on like X right now and look up like Santa Monica Studios social media. Dude, they are posting, like, this is 50 minutes ago. They are doing daily and sometimes multiple times a day updates, interviews, advertising all over the place. This is 21 hours ago. Like, this game was just revealed. A lot of us thought that this game was still like maybe 2 years away. I don't know why they're advertising it so heavily if it's still 2 years away, you know? Like, aren't they surely going to run out of stuff to talk about? This actually, the fact that they're so active on social media actually makes me wonder if this is going to be like a surprise drop for early 27. Like, I don't know what the plan is, but I'm just surprised that they're advertising it so heavily. It's really, really interesting to me. It's fascinating, but I don't know what the plan is, but they're talking about it a lot. So who knows? But I see this, and I think it's safe to assume that this is way more activity than we've seen, even with like Naughty Dog. Do they have a social media on X? Probably, you'd think, right? Let's see. Last post, June 8th. It's Last of Us stuff. Okay, we've got Max Casella, who did performances for Daxter. Last of Us, or Uncharted, Last of Us. There's like nothing on here for Intergalactic. So like, if you just compare the marketing approach, I think it's safe to assume that based on this, which is not much, to be fair, I would assume that God of War Lao Fei is coming before Intergalactic, because they're doing a lot more to promote that, to talk about it, to get it out there. Like, this is the last thing, and it was a Core Tech programmer, April 29th, and it was technically a repost from their job listing page. That's the last time something related to Intergalactic was shown. So it could be just different marketing approaches, very likely, but at the very least, it seems like there's a different level of energy around the promotion. So my guess is that Intergalactic is coming after God of War, and probably a good bit after. So I was optimistic. I was hopeful that maybe, you know, they would surprise us with a trailer at the State of Play or something. I'm glad we got God of War, don't get me wrong. But I was thinking maybe there was a chance that we would see it. But after this, I mean, I'm thinking it's probably coming at the very least late next year, maybe early 28. You never know. And if that's the case, I don't think we see it until next year. Like probably the showcase that just happened next year is when we see Intergalactic. Maybe we get another trailer at the Game Awards. You got to remember that, like, Jeff, after High Guard, I think he's probably making some calls to be like, do you have something I can show? You know, because before it was Intergalactic, and then so that would have been 2024 was Intergalactic as the final trailer at the Game Awards. And then the next year in 25, it was High Guard. We all remember how that went. And then this year, I think it'd be really funny and like cool full circle reset to do another Intergalactic trailer as the final one more thing, where Jeff can be like, I hear you. Yeah, we're just going to Control Z that. You know, I think that wouldn't surprise me or shock me if they did like a gameplay reveal or something. Now, would Sony want to do that instead of their own showcase? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Sony definitely cares about their relationship with the Game Awards because they love winning those Game of the Year awards for sure. But whether or not they want to do like a gameplay reveal there is another question. But anyway, we'll see. But long story short, do I think we see Intergalactic by the end of this year? I'm starting to think probably not. I think we see more God of War before we see Intergalactic personally. And it's not a bad thing. It's just I think the timelines have shifted more than we thought. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Concord was a game with a price that Destiny paid skibbity-beat 6-7 boom. Thank you, Hype Not IQ. Well put. SRW, thank you for that. Luke, they don't need to know that. Oh yeah, about Double Fine being small. Yeah. No, well, I mean, hopefully they just fly under the radar. And they're able to find ways to cut costs elsewhere. But yeah, we'll talk about Xbox budgeting stuff here in a minute because it's crazy. Hey Sonny, thank you for that. Hey Luke, love your videos. Watched every single one since your last Anthem video. You're an amazing and entertaining person. May God bless you and your family. Thank you, my friend. That's very sweet. Very sweet. Much love. Glad to have you here, my friend. Glad to have you. Thank you for that. PlayStation is aggressive with God of War on social media. Can we expect Q1 release? Oh, I should have read this before I started rambling. Also, I'm scared about the writing team's resume isn't looking good. I've not looked into the resumes of the team, but I do know that Santa Monica previously has not let me down. So we'll see. I mean, if we start to, if we get a trailer where, you know, we have a flashback and Kratos is stressed out at the kitchen table because he can't figure out how to pay his student loans, then we'll talk. But I haven't seen anything like that so far. But who knows? Never say never, right? We'll make fun of Corey if that's in the game. Amin Hussein, thank you for that. Do you think Take-Two Interactive will push console makers to cut prices and boost production before GTA 6? Also, it's lonely being an Xbox fan in India. I think... I mean, first of all, you can say like they would push them. What did they do? Please make more. Like, I don't know what they would do. The problem for Asha, and as she's described, where is it? Where is the link? Like, look at this. Well, we'll talk about this in a second. These costs have since doubled again as we plan for the 2027 holiday season. We expect another significant increase, taking us 5x the prices we paid only 2 years earlier. This means in 2 years, hardware components have raised for Xbox 5x. Part of the way that big companies like Apple can get away with this, big hardware companies can get away with this, you know, and deal with the hardware component crisis, is because they order in such ridiculously high volumes that they can kind of brute force through scale and economies of scale and bid lower and stuff like that. But Microsoft is not selling that many Xboxes, and that's the problem. Like, because they are not going to sell 50 million units, they can't order 50 million units. That would never make sense. So they have to order 2 million units. But that's way more expensive than ordering in bulk 50 million units, you know? And so when that's compounded over every component, over every single thing, and we're approaching the end of the generation when you probably don't want to have a massive stockpile of consoles, it's just not easy. And so if the components are 5x what they paid just 2 years before, the math starts to get rough. You know, that Series X, to not lose money on every copy or every unit, you're going to have to sell it at $800, $900, $1,000, you know, and then nobody's going to buy them anyways. So you have to manufacture even less, and it just snowballs, you know. There's no good solution. There's no easy solution. I know people will quickly off the cuff be like, oh, well, they should just eat the cost. They should subsidize. She even describes how they have subsidized things over the last handful of years. And that has accounted for roughly $20 billion in overall spend in a way that is like horrifying. Was it in this statement? I don't. Oh yeah, we have spent over $20 billion on ongoing investments in our content platform and hardware subsidy. They've already been doing that. And costs are this high. So there's no magic panacea. There's no magic fix where you can just like do this one thing and consoles are affordable and everybody can buy one and you have tons of them on the shelf. It just doesn't work that way. PlayStation can manage to do more because they sell a lot more. So they can manage to manufacture 10 million units or 15 million units or 20 million units and order in bulk, and they'll cut down the price. Obviously, they still have had to raise prices, but they can eat some of that because they have a really healthy ecosystem. They have good margins. It's kind of the word of the day for Xbox. So there's just no good solution. The only way to deal with it is probably to wait 2 years until late 2028 when new manufacturing hubs pop up or fabs pop up, and then you can, like, there's more manufacturing capacity for this stuff. Then it probably becomes easier to manage. But I mean, it's basically a situation where the answer is hurry up and wait. Unfortunately, that's what it is. So as much as Take-Two would like there to be a ton of consoles that are affordable on shelves for people to buy to play GTA 6, Take-Two, this is way bigger than Take-Two Interactive. Like, it's not that Xbox and PlayStation don't want to make more. They would like to sell more consoles. It's that you can't make them at a price people will pay because it's so expensive, you know? This is why my sneaking suspicion is Sarah Bond has described previously. Sarah Bond on Project Helix. Is this it? Yeah, maybe. Let's see. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for one very particular statement that she made. Basically, she was describing how the goal for the Project Helix was that it was going to be a high-end, highly curated. Look at this. Yeah, this is it. The next Xbox, this is as of October 2025, okay? The next Xbox won't be cheap. What she said specifically was that it was a very premium, high-end, next-gen console experience. And the way she commonly described it when she still had a job was that it was a very premium, very high-end curated experience, that it was targeting, what was the word she used? Enthusiasts. It's basically just a way of describing how it's going to be really freaking expensive, okay? I think back in like mid to early 2025, Project Helix was already looking like it was going to be $1,000, $1,200, something like that. High-end, premium, the most powerful console on the market. That was the goal. And then the AI bubble hit. Woof. And when the AI bubble hit, you know, you got to look at the statements from Asha when she's describing how since that time, as we plan for 2027, it'll take prices 5x over what they paid 2 years earlier in 2025. So if they were already expecting that it was going to be $1,000 device in 25, if costs are 5 times more in 2027 when they want to launch it, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Project Helix is probably in the realm of at least a few $1,000s unless they've made major changes to it, which doesn't work. Like that math doesn't work. If this is truthful, that they are actually facing down the barrel of 5x in terms of costs. And the Helix 2 years ago, before the 5x cost increase, was a $1,000 machine. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Even if it is honestly an incredible machine, like let's say it's basically a console experience, but it has a 5090 in it. I still don't know how many people are spending $3,000-$4,000 on a console. You know, I just don't see it. So I think this is why Xbox is scrambling to try and come up with an alternative. Because yeah, maybe I do think there was a market, and I've said this before. I think there is a market for a premium console experience that gives you the experience of a console at your, like, in your living room on your TV. Everything just works, no driver issues, nothing like that. It's just easy plug and play console that is ultra premium. I do think there is a market for that. Like, I think there's a market for like a PS5 Ultra. I really do. Like, if they released a PS5 Ultra that is able to effortlessly do like 4K path trace, like whatever you want to talk about, like the ultimate experience, I do think there are hardcore people out there that would spend like $1,200 or $1,500 on that. I do think there's a lot of PlayStation fans who would buy that. Not an insane amount, not enough for that to become your only console, but I do think it would sell. Do I think that they can sell like a $3,500 machine? Do I think they can sell like a $4,000, $5,000 machine? You're selling maybe like a few thousand units globally. I don't think that works. So I think back in 25 or 24 or 23, when they were coming up with what the next gen Xbox was going to be, their very unique tactic was going to be, we can't beat PlayStation in like the ecosystem, but what if we are just the ultimate console? So like all games, when they're being advertised, want to showcase it on the Project Helix because our machine makes the game look the best. Maybe that does it. Like, then Xbox is not seen as the budget platform, it's seen as the premium platform. I think that was part of their idea for the pivot. They just didn't realize that their parent company was going to start buying up everything, and that was going to drive costs through the roof. And now Microsoft's own AI ambitions are cannibalizing the rest of their businesses, which is wild, but here we are. So I'm so interested to see where they go with it, but yeah, it's a tricky spot for sure. We should mention this. Let me bookmark this. Oh, I scrolled too far. 53 nights. Thank you for 14 months. Luke, the more I think about it, the more I believe Jack Quaid doesn't belong in God of War, and the cube bouncing around just takes me out of it. I've heard a number of people say that the cube specifically, this is where I think it's important. Sometimes what happens in online gaming discourse, like there's this crossover where like some people will try to hand wave away people's opinions because there are some extreme people who are saying stupid stuff. So like there are people throwing fits over God of War Lao Fei having a female protagonist, right? I think that's silly. I don't really care as long as the game is good and the writing is good. Like I'm interested, especially this has clearly been set up since God of War 2018. This was always the vision and always the plan. Like it's clear. So I'm not worried about that. But what people will do is I've seen people talk about the cube and then they're like, it just takes me out of it. Like it's not immersive. It feels out of place, like constant quips and quirky dialogue. And people will be like, oh, you're one of those. And they'll like hand wave your opinion away. I don't want to do that because I think that this is a legitimate concern people have raised with any type of game when there's a companion. I mean, whether it's a talking, what do you call it, gauntlet or a or whatever, I forget what they called it in Forspoken. Like this is a concern, and I've heard a number of people bring it up. Even people in my direct friend group from college have brought that up. Like, the game looks badass, looks awesome. I don't know about the cube and the sword constantly talking to you, though. You know, I think that is a fair concern to have. We'll see when the game comes, you know, how it is. But there is a trend in the industry for like there to be constant quips and like quirky dialogue. It's that Marvel writing that drives us crazy. And I hope that is not what this is. There are reasons to have companion characters because you can do exposition, you can explore a character's feelings and mindset in a creative way when you have a companion. It's why games going all the way back to like Resident Evil 4, for example, where you have sequences with two characters because they can bounce off of each other. There's a reason that happens. Otherwise, you end up with like the Days Gone situation where Deacon is constantly, I gotta get up to the mountaintop. No way, she's still alive. I can't believe it. And like just talking to himself the whole time. So there's a benefit to having Mimir, to having Atreus follow you around, or potentially a cube or a talking sword or something. But it's also really easy to overdo it. And I think that's a fair concern to have for sure. So I hear you, but I think it's too early to tell what it's actually going to be. We got like a little sliver, but we'll see what it's like when we get more. Amin Hussein, I'm so sorry. Thank you for that. Do you think Take-Two Interactive? Oh, I already read that one. What am I doing? Let's see. George, thank you for the 5. Luke, love the videos, especially the Bethesda ones. Did you see how Xbox CEO went to Bethesda to play Elder Scrolls 6 and they said it was playable? Yeah, it better be at this point. I did see it was Matt Booty, the chief content officer, so the CCO. I don't think Asha went. Matt Booty went, and yeah, I mean it doesn't mean a lot. I saw somebody was quoting that, and they're like, and Matt Booty said that it's going to be awesome, so it's going to be great. It's like, do you think the CCO would get up there and be like, yeah, I went to this up and coming studio that's doing one of the most anticipated games in our roster. Pretty terrible. Do you think anybody would say no? His job is to hype it up. Like, there's not really anything to know about it. It's like, yeah, it's a version of the game is playable. Okay, like not much to say about it beyond that. Jack, thank you for that super chat. Caitlin, thank you for the 5. Do you think we will see anything regarding the Elder Scrolls 6 and 27, whether it's at the Summer Games Fest or Game Awards? I think it depends. Not to be that guy, but I think it depends. Because I think they'll show Elder Scrolls 6 when they show off Helix. And I think that's going to be part of the big like marketing push for it. Which is funny because I also think that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be cross-platform personally. I don't think they want to leave that much money on the table. So I think, but then again, maybe they don't. No, I think it's cross-platform because I think when they launched Starfield as a console exclusive for a while, like 2 years or whatever it was, I think they saw pretty clearly that it didn't actually move that many units. So I don't think that they'll bother making Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive, but I could be wrong. But having said that, I think that they will show it whenever they show Helix and do like a full reveal for that. If they do that in 27, yeah, we probably see it. If they wait to do Project Helix reveal until 2028, they'll wait to advertise it till 2028. Because I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out until 2028 regardless. I just think when they show it, it'll be shown with Helix. I also expect that it's probably going to be cross-generational too. I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be next gen exclusive. I don't think so. Mr. 10 years in the it cut off in the joint. Your thumbnail t-shirt don't match your live t-shirt. I got clickbaited once again. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's the default one. I'm sorry. Please don't be mad. Don't be mad. Oh god, I scrolled too far again. Let's see. Jack, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Hiya, mate. Have you heard the interview with Variety that they did referring to Elder Scrolls 6 as amazing? And if you were to sit with Todd for an interview, what would you ask him? Why? And I can't read. What would you ask him and why on Fallout and the Elder Scrolls? maybe what on the Fallout and the Elder Scrolls? For one, the main thing I'm interested in with Todd is like, for one, his process. Two, I want to know about Bethesda as a company and how they've changed since like the era of Skyrim and even Fallout 4. Because I'm always frustrated when people talk to Todd that they let him just kind of do his marketing shtick. And I'm like, I want to know Todd. Like, I want to know the guy. Okay. I want him to be candid. Like, if I were to interview Todd, I'd want to go sit at a bar and like we get a drink and we just chat, and it's very conversational. I don't want to do the bullet pointed questions. Like, I want it to just be open and conversational. Like what he did with the Lex Friedman podcast, I thought was really good. I think something like that would work way better. We can just pick and poke and figure out how it works. Because I do think it's very clear, at least from our outside perspective, that there's been some major shift in how they operate. I would argue for the worse, but maybe for him and from his perspective, it's for the better, over the last decade, where as they've moved towards paid mods, as they've moved towards live service stuff, Fallout 76, it feels like their output has dropped. The consistency of quality has dropped. Quality assurance has plummeted. Technologically, they've started to fall behind the competition. There's all of these like cascading effects that seem to happen right around the time that they start focusing on Fallout 76. And I would just love to know what that, how that happened, if he thinks that's happened. But I don't want to let him, like, I don't want to pose the question, what happened after Fallout 76? Why does Bethesda feel like a different company? Why does it feel like, you know, with Fallout 4, you guys pumped out 2 expansions rather, for Fallout 4 in a year. But then Starfield, it takes an entire year to get one, and it's smaller than any of the stuff he did for Fallout 4. It reviews way worse. What happened? Like, why is your output dropping? But that's an uncomfortable question. That's a weird question. That's a tough question. That's one that he probably doesn't want to answer. He might want to pivot and be like, yeah, some people really liked Shattered Space and other people liked it less. Like, I understand he'd want to pivot, but what I'd want to do is to be like, no, enough of that. Come on, Todd. Let's talk. What happened? Because I think, you know, your fans deserve a very candid, real answer, not marketing spin. But this is probably why I will never get to go to a bar with Todd. Because that's just not how it works, you know? It's not how it works. Todd is toxic positivity. I don't know. Well, that's part of the problem is I don't know much about Todd's true process, because he's like such a marketing guy and a salesman that it feels like you never actually get the like true pause, ponder answer. It always feels like it's the queued up answer that he had prepared before he sat down for you. And so I don't know. That's why I think the situation, the format of the conversation has to be right. And I'd want it to be more conversational and much less PR, you know, but I understand he's in charge of a very important company for Xbox. I understand why they wouldn't want to put him in that environment or situation. Because why does he need to do that? Like, what does he get out of that? He seems less robotic and more human, I guess, but does that help his businesses? Probably not. You know, what are you going to do? It also, to me, let's just be honest, I don't think Todd is that involved in the game process anymore. Like, I think he's going to meetings and stuff. I don't think Todd is like that involved in the development. Like, you can track the quality of Bethesda's projects when Todd is directly involved, circa Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, Fallout 4. The quality is way higher. It's once he started trying to back off and bring in some of these assistant directors, giving more control to like Emil and some of the other guys. Once that started happening is when the quality starts to drop significantly. And as he's gotten busier with like the Fallout TV show and executive producing the Indiana Jones game and all this stuff, it seems like the quality takes a nosedive. The expansions for Starfield take a nosedive. They do the anniversary update and there's no quality control at all, to the point where they break VATs in a Fallout game. You know, I think it's pretty clear. People meme on Todd a lot, but he knows what he's doing when he's involved. I think one of the big problems is that he's not that involved anymore. That's just how it is. Where did I leave off? So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question, Jack. I would have a lot of questions, but I wouldn't want to do like the standard marketing PR interview. I'd want to make it conversational and specifically try to get him out of the PR rehearsed answers and do follow-ups with a lot of stuff. Because I feel like he just doesn't hear those countervailing opinions like ever. Feels like everybody that talks to him is kind of a yes man, and so you don't really get the true answer. Because I think what somebody like that needs is you get the marketing answer, you're like, you don't really think that, Todd, though, right? Like let's get rid of the marketing BS. Like, people really did not like Shattered Space. Why? How does that happen when you guys made Nuka World and Far Harbor? Like, how did that happen? Well, I don't know if it's bad. It's got like 50 on Metacritic, Todd. People did not like it. I think you got to be able to push back, but that's uncomfortable. That's just uncomfortable. Kane, thank you for the very generous 20. Hey, Luke, am I wrong for feeling annoyed by the new God of War? By the new God of War, like the Horizon franchise. Faye is cool and all, but I'd rather just have another Kratos game, just like we'd all rather have Horizon 3. I would say, so for one, there's nothing wrong with feeling the way that you feel. Like that's how you feel. You don't get to choose the way you feel. You can choose like your presuppositions. You can choose your like fundamentals, and you can evaluate and think through processes. But emotion is just something that happens to you, right? So if that's how you feel, that's totally fine. It's figuring out why you feel that way. That's the important part. As for those two things, I put them in different categories. I think it's fine if you're like, I'm a God of War fan. I like Kratos. That's what I'm more interested in. That's fine. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling that. I'm sure that that's something that the people at Santa Monica were aware. There were going to be people like that like, it's not Kratos. I'm good. That's going to happen. And I think that's fine. But I wouldn't put it in the same bucket as Horizon, because for Horizon, it's not that they like chose to do a Horizon game with a different protagonist. It's that they chose to do a live service game nobody asked for and then spend like 5 years on it. So it'd be like if they did a God of War live service spin-off where you're playing as Atreus. Or even worse, you're playing as a character you've never heard of. That's what Horizon did. So for me, they're different. To me, they're in two different buckets. It's fine to feel frustrated with both, but I would just say the Horizon one is a much more extreme example. And to be fair, yes, as multi good kid. This, to be clear, Kratos is in God of War Lao Fei, and I've seen some stuff. And let's just say that, like, if you played God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, I think this is potentially going to be one of the coolest stories you've experienced in a very long time. Like, we're not talking about little tie-ins. We're talking about like tons of intertwining plot lines. There are references and there are things that you might have thought was like a plot hole or something in God of War 2018, where you're just like, I wonder why that happened. I wonder why that happened. Maybe they just don't want you to think about it. Like, that'll be answered. There's a reason. They wrote, I think, the vast majority of this story a decade ago. And it's just been about getting to this point where we can now tell the story in parallel, where all these little bitty things are tying together. Kratos has random lines like in 2018 where he says, I feel like Faye is trying to say something to me. And then Mimir's like, yes, grief can do that, brother. I can't even say brother. And Kratos is like, no, this is something more. Little things like that. Like, there's a lot of things like that were not just lines. They were planting seeds, okay? And I think those seeds have grown, and we will see the tree and its fruit, okay? So I'm just saying, if you're a fan of 2018 and Ragnarok, do not count out God of War Lao Fei, because I think there's going to be a lot of stuff in this one that's going to blow your freaking mind. Just being honest. Cancel me. I don't care. It's just my opinion. Gwyn, thank you for the 5. Do you think Sony blames Concord's fall on PC gamers? That's why they go back to exclusives? No, because Concord also failed on PlayStation. It failed on both. I don't think that's it. I think that it's just, frankly, PC was everything about what they were doing. The idea was put our PlayStation games on PC, and that will get PC gamers to come over and buy PlayStations to play the games right as they drop. That didn't happen. it's pretty clear the opposite happened. They put all their games on PC, so PlayStation gamers were like, okay, I'll go over there. And I think people started moving to PC, which is why you remember the whole thing with Helldivers? You remember the whole thing with Helldivers? When people were freaking out because they were trying to force you to sign up for a PlayStation Network account and they wanted you to sign in. Why do you think they did that? Was that just being pedantic? Was that just being silly or stupid? No. They wanted to see if you already had a PlayStation account, you connect it to your Steam ID. What does that then allow them to have? They then get to see your Steam activity, your profile, if it's public, which 99% of players, their data is public. If you want to change that, you can, but most of it's public by default. And so then they can see your PlayStation activity through your PlayStation Network account. They connect it to your Steam account and Steam ID. So now they can see how your player behavior changes. So they could track, hey, they bought Helldivers 2 on PC. And over the next 2 years, they stopped playing on their PlayStation. Like 80% of their hours played shifted from PlayStation to PC. Okay, that's not great. And so I think they pivoted back because they realized they were losing more players to PC than they were gaining from PC, which makes sense. I mean, chances are, if everything you could play on PlayStation is available on PC is a more open platform. You don't have to pay for online. There's deep sales. You can do other stuff on your PC than just game. There's a lot of reasons to invest more in PC than a console if all the games are the same. Ceteris paribus. If everything else is equal, it makes more sense for a lot of people to lean into PC. So I think that's what happened. Cryptic Lantern. Thank you for the 2. Imagine caring about anything written by ML. Poor ML. Limits Breaker. Thank you for 16 months. Here's to an awesome Friday, bro. Hope the road trip was good. Thank you guys for hitting the streets to bring us the latest. Shout out to the fam, Mr. Romeo, chat, and the chess club. Fergus blessings. Fergus blessings indeed. He watches over us always with his mighty staff, ensuring that we are all safe and sound forever and ever. Amen. Amen's in chat for Fergus, the troll. And yes, shout out to Romeo. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. I think I actually do have a new picture. I don't remember if I showed you guys this picture. Let me see. Where is it? It was him sitting on the deck. Oh yeah, this is him. He's a good boy. Look at that boy. Oh, he's a good boy. Look at him. What a handsome fella. He knows it too. He's like, but I'm so cute. You totally want to give me scraps. Please. Pretty please. He's such a cutie. Okay, let me bookmark this and then I'll circle back and I will continue catching up on these. Okay, I will continue catching up on these. Oh my God, I scrolled too far again. I'm the worst. Also anonymous, Gary, thank you for the membership. I will continue catching up on super chats, but first I want to talk about one of our topics, okay? Otherwise I'll get distracted again. You ready? New segment talking about stuff that was taken out of context and spread on the internet. We're going to talk about it because it was sort of true, but also not. And so hopefully we can move forward into the future with a better understanding of what was actually intended to be said instead of spreading fake news. Amen. Okay. So, you may have seen it floating around on Twitter. You may have seen it. Claims that Xbox themselves was considering in-game ads. It started to spread around, started going a wee bit viral. People were making videos and such. Because basically the chief strategy officer of Xbox went on to an interview panel with the Game Business Show with Christopher Dring. And is it Chris? I think it's Chris Dring, right? Mr. Dring is his name. I forget his first name. But they went on, talked about all this stuff, and there was a little snippet that was clipped and then extrapolated into a bunch of stuff. So I want to clarify it. As you can see, the initial tweet that was going viral, there were several, but this is like one of them. Xbox is floating the idea of in-game ads, noting that may have potential to keep our products affordable. Goal is to ensure they can continue to fund outstanding work from dev teams. And naturally, we all saw this and we're like, oh boy, here we go. Oh boy, here we go. Matthew Ball, though, then clarifies this is not correct and goes through these things, which I'll circle back to in a second, because I pulled up the actual interview. Let's hear what he actually said, okay? Let's hear what he actually said, because this is not the first time he's talked about these things before. This is not the first time he's talked about these things. He has talked about these types of creative strategies for monetization previously, and usually it's tied to discussions around other studio behaviors, like with Take-Two Interactive and NBA 2K, where they of course put like real advertising within the games. The idea of putting ads on like posters or banners in the basketball arena court side, whatever you want to call it. When you hit pause on the main menu, they could have an ad there. This is something a lot of companies have considered for a while, but this is what he actually said in the interview. Let's see.
Based on our conversation last time, because you sent me an email after this. When we last spoke, you brought up the prospect of in-game advertising and being a big opportunity for game companies. And I'm just trying to remember this. You talked about ads like in pause menus and loading screens within sports games, and you specifically suggested NBA 2K for that. And obviously a couple of weeks later, I had a chat with Strauss Zelnick, and
Strauss Zelnick being the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, in charge of NBA 2K and of course GTA and all that.
I said to him, what do you think of that idea? And he went, nope. Fans just wouldn't accept it, not in a premium game. Do you still see that as a...
Well, he didn't say nope, but I definitely shouldn't get into the examination of a specific partner's business.
Yeah.
As I recall it, what Strauss said was, he said that it can work with some games, but it cannot work with others on in-game advertising. Because I think it was specifically in the context of GTA, and the way he phrased it was that it was unfair to put ads in premium games. In other words, like in NBA, you can probably get away with it, but free-to-play games, yes. For titles for which you've paid $70 or $80, no. We have had some limited advertising inside games like NBA 2K because it fit with the vernacular. You want to see advertising in a stadium because you would if you were there in real life, but that's not a big economic contributor. Translation, it doesn't make that much money anyways. It's difficult for me to believe that we would want to have interstitial advertising in a game that someone paid $70 or $80 for. It would seem unfair. So that's what he said. Okay, that's what he said, is that it's you can do it with some games, you can't do it with others. Okay.
What I will say is everyone in the audience knows this, right? There is a two-sided problem. The costs have gone up way too high on development for most development. And at the same point, everyone feels terrible with prices going up on hardware or software or microtransactions. That is a challenge. It's not good if that is the only option. I think the best evidence comes from the streaming space. In excess of 100% of net ads in the United States for years and years have been on the ad-supported tier. That has not excluded anyone from ad-free experiences. Those products are still there. They're still popular. I subscribe to many of them, and some people dip in and out. The question is not can.
So he's saying that there is an option to have a variety of things. So perhaps there's Game Pass, and this has been floated before. There's a Game Pass Premium or Ultimate tier, which is $22.99 a month, I think it is. And that gives you the games day one. It gives you, the not early access, PC Game Pass, all of that stuff. But then they could do a lower price one that's like $5 a month that's ad supported. So before, when you see the games, there's a shelf of games that are sponsored and they paid to get put on the top of the list. Or there's every hour it pauses and you have to watch a 60-second ad. That's what he's talking about, because that's what is offered on, I think Netflix does an ad supported tier. I think I think Hulu does that as well. I'm not too sure. My Netflix is included with I think it's our cell phone service. So it's I don't pay for it. It's just included as part of a thing. But I should probably know. But I don't know what the ad-supported tiers look like. But that's what he's referring to. It's like a version of Game Pass where you could price it differently to allow more people in where you're still getting money from them, but then you subsidize it with advertising. That's what he's alluding to.
And we cram ads in everything. The question is, are there opportunities for us? The question is not
The question is not whether we cram ads and everything.
I subscribe to many of them, and some people dip in and out. The question is not, can we cram ads in everything? The question is, are there opportunities for us to find cheaper products, different delivery models that allow the people who can't afford or wouldn't try or wouldn't test to have an onboard to our properties and franchises?
And I think this is where the distinction gets muddled. Just because, like, to be clear, what he's describing is that you can have the different tiers or different products. You have the premium product, you have the more popular but not as expensive products. So like if this one is $23 a month, this one is like $15. You have this one that's like $8 a month. And then we could have an ad supported tier that's brand new. Okay, so he's trying to describe something that is new, that doesn't mess with anything else, that would be added for $5 a month plus ads. You know, so he's saying, no, we're not going to put advertising up here to like expand out the revenue and the market share of these. We're not saying that. We're saying that we are just going to add a new tier as a new option, a new door to be opened, right? I think the reason why people roll their eyes at that is because when in history has a corporation opened a new door for making money and then later closed it and removed it? Never. Like, if they're going to do this, it will eventually start to seep into everything, because it may start at $5 plus ads. It will eventually become $6 plus ads, and then $7 plus ads, and then the ads will get more aggressive, and then they'll have a new minimized ad. So there will be ads on the $8 tier, but they'll be smaller. Like this, you're going to give an inch, and maybe today the intention is not for it to turn into a mile, but inevitably it kind of begins that way. And then it starts to compound and snowball and snowball and snowball. That's why people hear this and they're like, don't even start. Don't even start. Don't start with me, you know? Don't even start. Yeah, it's like ads on your fridge. Well, yeah, it's like, hey, well, we can sell the fridge for $1,000, or you can buy it for $800, but it has ads that display. It's like, okay, well then next year you're going to launch the ad version at $900. And then pretty soon it's going to be standard. You know, it's just going to snowball. It's a slippery slope, true and fully. But this is why a lot of consumers hear this and just go, no, don't even start with me. Don't even start. Now, to be fair, I don't want to be dismissive. I do think that there are people out there who could benefit from this. And I think many of us have been in spot. I've been in this spot where I have like 36 cents in my checking account and I can't afford even a pack of ramen noodles for dinner. College was a rough time, my friends. But we've been there, and there were times when, you know, I was very, very, very broke, working as a janitor and like barely making ends meet, literally. And in those cases, like I think back to those times and how video games for me were an escape, and I was playing games I already owned. I wasn't buying new games, certainly. But, you know, if I got an extra $10 that month and I would be able to get access to something like Game Pass, at that time, Game Pass would have been a lifesaver. It would have been amazing. And I may have entertained like a $5 plus ads tier that I would have been able to afford. It would have opened the door for me to get in when I wouldn't have been able to get in regardless. But I don't know how many people are in that situation. And I also don't know if that's what would be best for me in that situation in the long term, because it would inevitably turn into, you know, okay, we're going to raise the price even more. We're going to make the ads even more intrusive. Very well could just end up killing games in general. You know, it just sucks the soul right out of it. So I understand the idea of opening doors and creating new opportunities for players to gain or to come in. But I understand what he's saying. But again, it's just one of those things where you're like, I just don't even want to start. You know, I don't want to start. Real serious. Isn't that just the shrinkflation with new coat of paint, though? Those tiers will also increase with time. It's squeezing and squeezing consumers. Yeah, no, it's a way of trying to broaden the tent with a lower priced tier. So people who can't afford the $10 tier can afford $5 plus ads. And so it levels out to maybe be worth $7 a month or whatever they end up getting. It's just, yeah, obviously. I think it's, even if he is being totally upfront and honest and is not actually thinking, yeah, in long term, we can grow it at 10% annually for higher revenue. Even if he's not thinking about that, and he literally is just thinking of like people like me when I was broke and trying to find a way to open the door to us, even if that's what he truly, honestly is trying to do with this, it's just a slippery slope that will inevitably get worse and worse and worse. Maybe a good intention, but it will eventually be corrupted by those with bad intentions, you know. As one says, as the saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And that's true in video game pricing as well. Dog, thank you for that very generous $10. Do you think DLSS 5 will have the preset that can be chosen in Profile Inspector? I've been playing Valhalla with DLSS 4.5 mod and dynamic multi-frame generation, and I'm super curious what DLSS 5 will look like in Valhalla. I don't know. I think they're overhauling all of the DLSS 5 stuff after the feedback to the last round of advertising for it was so poorly received. I think that they are going back to the drawing board on how they pitch it, because it did not go over well. So we'll see. I really don't know, but we'll see. I don't know. It's a big question. Finishing out his answer. Let's see.
I don't have anything to report on Microsoft's plans. I'm frankly not read into them despite my interest in the category, but it is coming from that perspective of how do we reach more people? How do we keep our products affordable? How do we make sure that we can continue to fund outstanding work from our development teams? That's the goal. It's not about placing an ad in front of someone so that we can sell, you know, a pizza.
Which I think, again, makes sense. I get it. I feel you. I don't want to even start. Okay. I don't want to even start. So his full correction as he wrote it. Now we've seen the clip that he's referring to. In the interview, I am asked about a comment I made before being hired at Xbox, and then state that I was only 10 days into the role and that I am not stating the company's plans or beliefs, which is why Xbox is floating the idea of in-game ads. That's not really what just happened. You know, he's saying we're open like to anything. The reason why we entertain those ideas, you know, is because of this and that. He's not actually saying, yeah, Xbox is actively pursuing this, or is looking into it. What I do say is that ads should be used to offer more affordable alternatives alongside today's ad-free experiences, in the hopes more could play as a result. Similar to how Netflix and Disney Plus have ad tiers with all the same content, but at half the price or so. At no point do I even mention in-game ads. I personally believe interrupting the gameplay experience would be bad. So there you have it. Now you've heard the full thing. You've heard the whole picture. What he has also mentioned is actually, did I bookmark it? There was another one. I don't know if I did. There's another tidbit clip where he was mentioning how Kojima basically gets away with it, which is kind of funny. Let me see if I can find the video clip, because it was funny. But he basically was pointing to like how in Death Stranding there's all of these moments where, like, you know, Norman Reedus goes and literally is taking a crap, and then on the wall of the glass whatever is an advertisement for the AMC show that he's in, and then like there's all the product placement and stuff, which is all absolutely true. And I'm sure a lot of executives look at that and are like, why can Kojima get away with it and we can't? That's the thing. Kojima can get away with it. He can get away with a lot that other studios and people can't get away with, okay? I'm just being real. He's kind of like I don't even know who to compare him to. Like, there's just things he can do that other people can't. Death Stranding in-game ad. Yeah, you remember this? Like, the fan base considered it funny and like, oh, haha, yeah, he's taking a dump, but then you got the ad for the TV show he's in. Bro, can you imagine if Ubisoft did this? Can you even imagine? Can you fathom it? Even if it was like a little nod to something, like let's say in Black Flag Resynced, you know, there's an advertisement in game for a TV show that Matt Ryan is in or something. It'd be like, what are you thinking? What? No, absolutely not. But with this, it's like, oh no, Kojima's being silly. You know, but there are things that Kojima can do that other people can't, and it just is the way it is. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It's like, it's just different, man. He's Kojima. Like, you have a career that's 30 years long that creates like some really iconic franchises and games, and also just be a crazy person, and you can get away with that too. But until then, you can't. You know, until then, you can't. It doesn't matter how much money I have. I will never pay for a subscription to anything. I prefer to buy because I play between 2 and 3 new games a year. Well, and yeah, for you, that makes way more sense. I was just talking to a buddy of mine, like, it was over the weekend, so whatever, about a week ago. And he was saying how he's been subscribed to one of those services for ages, one of the gaming services. I think it was Ubisoft Plus. He's like, yeah, and for me, it just makes perfect sense because I play so much of AC Valhalla and Odyssey, and I just kind of cycle between the games. And it's like, bro, you've bought the games like 15 times over in the last 3 years of you being subscribed to that. You should have just bought it up front. But some people, they would prefer to spend $10 a month than spend $70 up front. You know, it's funny that maybe psychologically that works better for them. I don't get it, but that very much is a thing. You know, there's people that they could be given the option to buy a phone today for $1,000 or finance it for $1,200, and they'll choose to finance it. You know, maybe they don't have all the money up front, but even if they do have all the money up front, they'd rather spend some of that money they have right now on something else, so they'll just finance it instead. It's a psychological thing that definitely financiers take advantage of and benefit from. Let's see. Cupcake, thank you for the super chat. Do you think there will be a time where consoles and I can't read. Do you think there will be a time where consoles like PCs will start selling parts? Example of upgraded memory cards, upgraded graphics cards, instead of selling new gaming consoles to help mitigate high prices. I mean, they already do that. So you remember the PlayStation 5, they have the built-in NVMe SSD. They already do that. PS5 SSD upgrade, and I've upgraded my storage on all my consoles that way. If you've never done it, on the PS5 there's like the upgradable storage, and I do think, for the record, this is going to be a big thing in next gen because memory prices are insane. I think that base starter consoles are going to be way lower memory and storage than you think they would be, and I think that they also are going to, you know, sell this with the hopes that, like, hey, just deal with low storage for now and then upgrade it in a year or two. They do this, and then of course Xbox has their own. Xbox, they have their like built-in proprietary these things, these little cards. So they already do that, and they're going to continue doing it. I just think next gen that's going to be a thing. Also, mark my words, mark them. I think one of the big talking points for next generation is going to be all new video compression algorithms or game file compression algorithms. That's going to be the big thing, because they're going to have to come up with an excuse as to why the next gen consoles in 2028 have 500 gigs of storage or 256 gigs of storage, which will be like shockingly low. The answer is obviously because it'll be so expensive. That's the only way that they can keep prices low. But the other reason that they'll try to get away with it is because they'll announce brand new compression algorithms to get Call of Duty from 300 gigs down to 50 and the new whatever game down to 10. And we've already seen some games do this. Like, wasn't it Helldivers was like 130 gigs on PC, and then they started working on it and got it down to like 12. What was the story with Helldivers PC port getting file sizes? So this is already happening, but I think it's going to be a very, very big push next gen. Let's see, is this the fix? Yeah, look at this. Helldivers 2 devs slash install size from 154 gigabytes to 23, thanks to PC port veterans. So 85% size reduction. That's insane. But I think that's the kind of thing we're going to see all over the place because they have to come up with a reason why your next gen console has less storage than your phone. So just buckle up for that. Buckle up for that. Official prediction, locking it in now. Multi-good kid, thank you for the 10. One thing not mentioned when it comes to the 5X statement about hardware component pricing is that Xbox lowered production of their systems to almost nothing the past few years. This deprioritizes you from component manufacturers. Yeah, like I said earlier when we were talking about it, one of the big problems for Microsoft is that they can't order a lot of volume and save by ordering in bulk. Oh, the camera's freaking out. Come on. There you go. They can't order in bulk because they're not selling that many units. So their prices are high, but then even less people buy it. So they have to order even fewer units because nobody's buying them. And that causes component prices to go up even more. And so it just snowballs. You know, that's not an easy hole to dig yourself out of. Real serious thing for that one. I wonder how many times Jack Quaid recorded, we need to get over this bridge. What if we pull that lever over there? Probably a few times. Probably a good number of times. Dude, it is one thing. And Corey, if you ever hear this, the companions that solve puzzles for you is one of the most annoying things in all of gaming. I'm just going to be real. It's one of the most annoying things in gaming. Like, it's so annoying. And I know that they patched it later and they like made it so his Trace's dialogue was way less frequent. But dude, it was bad at launch. He would just nonstop solve puzzles for you before you even started. It was really annoying. So please don't do that. Don't do that. Let's see. Lord Wise Wolf, thank you for that one. The transparent green Xbox, though. I do like the new logo. I'll give them that. I do like the new logo. Gwen, thank you for that too. Are you going to check out Total War 40K? Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, whether we make content on it, I don't know, but yeah, it's not the typical game my audience is that interested in. 10 Mysara, maybe. Thank you for that. You think Jedi 3 can be revealed at Gamescom? Looking at Survivor's rough launch, it still crashes on PS5 sometimes. I would love that. I've just heard no rumblings or rumors about it. So I would guess that it's probably still like next year reveal. I'm not happy about that, but yeah, just nowadays, they tend to take their time. EA is also in a weird spot because EA is being like transitioned into a private company. It's like a whole thing. So we'll see. Kane, thank you for that 20 again. That was very, very generous of you. Earlier, the comment about God of War versus Horizon. Germ, thank you for the 5. Do you think Xbox bit off more than they could chew when they bought Activision? Because it feels like everything has been going downhill since then. No, I think it's kind of the opposite. I think Activision is the only thing keeping them afloat and the only reason why Xbox hasn't shut down completely. I think Satya has considered sunsetting Xbox as a brand and just being like, this doesn't make sense. Let's just move on. But then he's constantly reminded, we spent $70 billion. We should figure out a way to make this work. I think that it's probably the one thing that's keeping them afloat. Not to mention that it's also one of the few things that's actually making money. Activision quite clearly is like one of the few things generating revenue, which you cannot say about a lot of Xbox. So gotta give them that. Yeah, that and King, the mobile game company. Absolutely. Found post, Bethesda put Creation Club on console to pit console players against PC players, free modders, and looking at Starfield Reddit, it worked. Says Zenzo with a super chat. Do you mean I found a post saying that Bethesda put Creation Club on console just to pit console players against PC players with modders, and the Starfield subreddit, it worked? I think it's more that there was not a modding scene on console, and Bethesda realized, because it was a common request, can you find a way to do mods on console? They said yes, and then they realized we can build out an in-game store and sell it. Then we can launch a game and make money on it with doing literally nothing. And even better, and this is my biggest pet peeve with Bethesda and people who like sycophantically defend it at every turn, They have created a platform where you can buy a game in an IP that you know and love, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Starfield. You can buy a game and it can have problems, uninteresting content, ship habs for customization isn't great, or this or that. Companions are dry and uninteresting. They have a game with problems, and they found a way that they can sell you the fix through a mod, but they don't have to make the fix. They create the platform and the store, and the platform has holes in it, and then they literally, like, it's like if they were making a dock or a deck, any of the D words. They're making a deck, and the deck is missing a bunch of wood planks all the way across it. And instead of finishing the deck, they open a store in a wood shack that they build with the extra lumber they should have used for the deck, but they use that lumber and timber. Did I say lumber? They use the timber to make a store right next to the deck where they sell other wood that was brought in by somebody else, and they take a cut of every plank sold. Like they literally created a platform where they can have problems and then sell you the fix, and they don't have to do any of the work. Like, it's insane. That's why I'm like, it's so depressing to me thinking long-term for Bethesda's like long-term health, because they've created an incentive to not put that extra effort in, to not put the extra polish in. Because if the game is amazing by itself, there's not that much need to spend time in the in-game store through paid mods. Like, it's insane. It's insane, but that's just how it works. Zero, thank you for the 10. Very generous. I was playing Days Gone for the first time and I was surprised how good of a game it was. I couldn't believe how it got past me. Reviewers were dead wrong. Then I saw your video on it. You nailed it. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for being here. I do like Days Gone a lot. A lot of it comes down to pacing. The coolest stuff in the game is in the last half. Trust and believe. It's real. Like, the last half of the game is way better than the first half. A lot of the game's problems were pacing. It also, back at launch, was something disconnected. Also at launch, it was pretty buggy and like maybe not buggy. It didn't perform very well. There were frame dips and issues. So that was part of the problem. But yeah, it's a much better game than I think people give it credit for. Will Laufey explain why Atreus kept solving puzzles? That would actually be really funny, Shife, if they had like, if there was some explanation for it. That would actually be funny. Real serious thing for that one. Isn't this just... Oh, I read that one about shrinkflation. Dog, also Dogmatic. I read that one as well. Thank you. About DLSS 5. The Nugget 2016. Thank you for 13 months. I understand the cost has been driven through the roof. I just hope new Eastern games coming out can force Western studios to push quality higher. I think it will, but I think more than anything, again, to be clear, this is not me being happy about this or like excited. I'm just saying I think this is what happens. What happens when Eastern studios come out with like Phantom Blade Zero, Black Myth Wukong, Blood Message, Tides of Annihilation, when they come out with these games that I think are going to take the world by storm, probably review pretty well and sell amazingly well. What happens when those become like the new meta? Just like live service was the meta for a bit. What happens? Put yourself in the shoes of a sociopathic investor and business executive. Do you keep the people in San Francisco employed, making a game that might break even? Or do you shut that down and start a new studio or buy a studio in one of those Eastern markets where it's cheaper? Where you're not bogged down by, you know, maybe the same rules and regulations over like, you know, labor laws. Work-life balance. You don't have to deal with any of that. Just go start a studio in China. You know, like it doesn't. I think what happens probably is that, yes, a lot of those studios will start taking the world by storm. The games will be really successful. And I think you'll see a lot of game development and game studios in Western countries, especially expensive areas, will start to disappear. So like game studios in San Francisco, game studios in Montreal, they're going to become very, very difficult to justify because just the numbers won't make sense anymore, you know? So I do think it'll push for higher quality and it will change the industry forever, but it's not just what's going on in the industry now with especially high development costs is not simply oh, they just need to try harder. It's not that simple. A lot of it is your studio is based in a spot where the average person is being paid $120,000 a year plus benefits and stuff. So our costs are ungodly. Like that is the bigger problem. And then you go over to Japan and like starting salary at From Software, no joke, is like $24,000 a year. You can literally make more money as a shift manager at McDonald's, where I live, than as a new game designer or programmer at From Software. Let that settle in. That's why the numbers don't make sense anymore. That's why they don't make sense anymore. You know, breaks down real quick. Breaks down real quick. Tell you what. Oh, baby. Okay. Where did I leave off from there? Okay. Where are you getting your facts, bro? Dude, they like bragged about how they did they raised salaries by 11%. About to break your brain. About to break your brain. Maybe try reading next time. Maybe try reading. That'll help. So the starting salaries. This is posted after the success of Elden Ring, of course. They raised base salaries, by 11.8%, which is fantastic. That's really good. That's a significant pay increase, okay? That means they will increase the starting salary for new hires, new graduates, from 260,000 yen to 300,000 yen. That equates to, again, this is back in 2024 after Elden Ring launched. That equates to raising their their monthly salary from $1,775 to $2,050, which equates to roughly $24,000 annually, which is rough. There were previously several reports that From Software paid staff below average salaries compared to other Japanese developers. In November 22, job openings advertised at the studio started at $1,585 US at the exchange rates at the time per month versus a low average of $1,664 for game development in Japan. Okay. 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 You think I'm just like making it up? Like, they probably get paid, I don't know, like $35 or something. Like, no, dude. Yes, cost of living is different. Absolutely. There's also a lot of other things like benefit differences. There's all sorts of reasons why it may be cheaper in Japan or Korea or China to have software developers. There's all sorts of reasons. But the point is that you can hire people in Japan for way less than hiring people for those same jobs in San Francisco or in Montreal. You know, like, yes, cost of living is way higher in San Francisco. That's the problem. You figured it out. Exactly. That's the problem, you know, like, and that's why all of these companies around the globe are looking to get out of the expensive areas and go to places that's cheaper. And the places where people are willing to work longer hours and where crunch culture is not looked down on so heavily. Because if you can get 80 hours a week of work out of somebody while also paying them this much, ooh, that's amazing. That's amazing. We looked also, do you guys remember what was the video we looked at? It was, I forget who made it. Estimated cost of GTA 6. He pulled up the stats. Yeah, this is it. He pulled up the 10K filings for India when they were figuring out how much it costs to pay people in India their salaries. And dude, it was like low-key depressing. It was like unbelievable.
Games UK. Then auditors remunerate calculate. Then computers and office billion somewhere around. We include them in the calculation. We have other expenses probably higher, but let's just keep the numbers low. Probably less than people think, as we have proof the
Where is it? It was like way lower than you would think for India specifically. UK Limited.
East Media, which is about a indie company. So if you fucking
Yeah,
anything
here.
bad, Glassdoor is a fucking shit website and they collect more user data than fucking anything else. So don't join it unless you need a job or something. But basically here employees can declare their salary and at what position they are working at in the company. So if we just take how many people work in each role in the company and get the average salary of each role, we can determine the average salary of a person working in Rockstar India, which is about $6,000 and the minimum overhead costs per employee is 20%. So I'm just
Why does Rockstar have 1,700 employees in India? Because max cost, like they're spending $6,000 to $8,000 a year on some of these employees. Yeah, that's why they have 1,700 people. Like Rockstar, they have 1,700 people in India working on GTA 6. 1,700, roughly. I think it's actually more than that. It's like just under 1,800. And this is why. How are you supposed to compete as an animator living in Toronto? You know, you need that a month minimum. In San Francisco, you need that every 2 weeks. But they can go to India and hire somebody for that much for the year. Like, what? What? Like that. But this is why, like, the disconnect between Eastern and Western game dev is just, it could not be more severe. Like, that's ridiculous. And there's amazingly talented people across the globe. There are amazingly talented devs in India, in China, in Japan, in Korea. Like, you don't have to just get your talent from Montreal, you know. The moment you can figure out how to tap into that talent is when you're all of the world becomes your oyster. You know, the possibilities become endless. It just totally breaks down, you know. And that's why, like, Rockstar, yes, GTA 6 will be like the most expensive game ever made. It would be a whole lot more expensive if it was made exclusively in Europe or exclusively in the US. There is a reason why they have 1,700 people in India working on it. Most of the like animation work that you're going to see in GTA 6 was done in India, in the Rockstar India offices. Like, that's their specialty. It's just wild, man. It's just wild. So anyway, yeah, I do have receipts. just saying. Let's see. I read that one. Let's see. Luke, have you seen the Sagrada Familia Lego set? Have I seen that one? Oh wait, yes. That one does look crazy, and very cool. It's a lot of little pieces though. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I don't know, I gotta finish. You see this guy? He's right there. I mean, you can see the box, but Baradur. I have to finish that first, and then I can tackle another set. I've got too many. I have a backlog. I have a pile of shame. I gotta work through. Jacob Wilson, thank you for the 20. Very generous. I have another money question. People get worked up about problematic stuff in games. I wonder if they will affect Eastern developed games because they clearly don't care. Example, Marvel Rivals. Well, there's that, but then there's other stuff that Eastern developers don't really care about, such as like the Tupac thing. Apparently, they were genuinely blindsided that there was like controversy over Tupac showing up in Stranger Than Heaven. They did not understand why people might be weirded out by that. Apparently it's like some cultural difference. Or in Eastern markets, AI is not this like hot button issue. Generative AI is not like this hot button cultural issue. It's a much more Western thing. So like with some games that were revealed that have had like generative AI used for this or that, or during pre-production or whatever, to them, they're just like, yeah, why would that What do you mean you're like upset about that? Like it's very interesting. There's just a difference in that. So I think it goes both ways. Like, yeah, maybe for some stuff, do they care about, you know, cultural diversity in their game casts? Probably not. Like, as insofar as like telling the story is required, like, no. Like I don't think they're not consulting anybody. You know, I think they don't really care. But it also goes the other way, where there's other things that they don't think are a big deal that we in Western markets might care about. So it goes both ways. Arkham Vigilante, thank you for the very generous 20 as well. Hey Luke, if you become the God King of gaming, we can only hope, and could make any mascot game, what would you choose, and which studio today would you have make it? Mine is Sly Cooper with Team Asobi. Oh, that's a good question. Mascot game from any studio. I guess it depends on what the standard is for mascot. Like, how big do you have to be as a character to be considered a mascot? It's interesting though. It's interesting. I don't know. I think I'm trying to think of something more niche, like back in the day, Mario from Rockstar. Mamma Mia. That could be funny. That could be funny. Zelda from Software. That could be fun. That could be cool. What would be like a really wacky one? That could be really, really insane. I know my knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, I don't even know how you would do it, frankly, but because I was like, how can I brute force my way to a pirate game made by Rockstar or Naughty Dog? And I was like, Edward Kenway with Rockstar, you know, like something like that could work. Warhorse with Ratchet and Clank, dude, that would be an experience. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Senpai noticed me again. Always Chops. Good to see you. Or Chopzilla. Sorry, Chopzilla. Todd from Naughty Dog. Todd from Naughty Monica. That's what we want. Yeah, there you go. Halo from id Software. Halo from id would actually kind of go hard. I'm actually going to give you that one. They might actually be able to make a really solid Halo game. That could be cool. That could be pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, Kojima. If we have to pick like Kojima as a dev, I think a Kojima Mario game would be freaking funny. I think that would be freaking hilarious. It's just Princess Peach walking around barefoot all over the place, and then Norman Reedus plays Mario. It's always mumbling and talking really quiet. I think that'd be fire. That'd be good. Good question. Real serious. Thank you for the super chat. Step 1, get a game director obsessed with scanning feet. Step 2, people consider him a quirky guy and accept his choices because he's weird. Step 3, put ads in your game. Step 4, profit. I think you've solved it. It's the Kojima strategy for success. Antichristus, thank you for the 10. Have you seen the game Over the Hill? Can't wait for it to be released. I have over 100K in SnowRunner. The game is made for me. I think I have actually seen this. Yes. The golden age of off-roading. Drive iconic vehicles from the 60s to 80s by yourself or with friends through challenging trails and beautiful scenery. Yeah, it's one of those like ultimate podcast games or like chill and vibe games. It's just relaxing and chill. It does seem like it. They have a demo up. It's coming at some point this year. That looks cool. That looks fire. And then the Nugget, thank you for the 10. Americans make higher wages across the board compared to the rest of the world, plus benefits. Many of the bottom 10 states in GDP outrank other countries. Companies will cost shift. Nature of the beast. Yeah, it's inevitable. It's like I did see one of the guys going and doing street interviews where he asked a bunch of people, like, okay, do you it was in the UK. He goes to like London and he says, if the UK were to join the US as a state, where would we rank in terms of like wealth per citizen? So like how much wealth is in the country and how wealthy the citizens are compared to citizens of other states in the US. And the answer is actually they'd be the 51st state. They would actually be the bottom. they, like, people in the UK financially are worse off than even the poorest state in the US, which kind of puts it in perspective, because we have some poor states. I think the poorest is it Missouri or Mississippi? It's one of those. And even then, that state per capita has a higher net worth per citizen than the entirety of the UK, which is fascinating. It's fascinating. Let's see. And then Christopher, thank you for the 10. I don't find it weird that Stranger Than Heaven has Tupac. Asian films, even Hollywood films, have merged hip-hop culture into Yakuza films, gangster movies, or martial arts movies for decades. Yeah, I mean, I think it's when you get into the question of like whether the family approved it versus the estate, which sometimes are different. That's an interesting question for sure. But for me, I'm expecting that probably Tupac shows up for like a solid 30 seconds, gives a little nod, and then leaves the room. Like I'm guessing it's probably very, very minimal. And it was more like shock factor. The game itself looks fire, so I'm still interested in the game, obviously. I think the game's gonna be great. RGG knows what they're doing. But I did find it just like, huh? You know, it's like, how? That's crazy. With 39 trillion in debt, dude. Don't look up Japan's debt. Like, when adjusted for their population, bro, it's bad. It's bad. It's real bad. Yeah, their debt to GDP ratio is like 232% to 248%. But to be fair, Japan was they were kind of like the piggy bank for the entire world for a long time, because people just do credit swaps, and like it was a whole thing because they had negative interest rates or 0% interest rates for a long time. But that's a topic for another day. Don't get me started. Don't get me started, because I'll start and then I won't stop. Fulcrum, thank you for the very generous $10 super chat. Appreciate you. Are excited for Tan Mysara. Thank you for that. Are you excited for Jurassic Park Survival? The Lost Wilds looks cool. Might be a good competitor of JPS if they nailed the silence, I think, or remain silence thing. I think so. I played Lost Wilds. Pretty fire. I'm very interested in that. It's funny that both of those games are coming like close to each other, because they're very, very similar ideas and concepts. But both I think are going to be cool. I'm excited for both of them. As to which one's better, I really don't know. We'll have to see. Keaton, thank you for that one. If Beyond Arkham is real, what does Rocksteady need to do to win the fans back? Or is it just a case of one good game and all is forgiven? I think a lot of it's going to come down to just execution across the board. And that is going to be determined by, they're going to be facing down a much more severe and extreme microscope than they had before. So I think a lot of people are going to be looking and sifting through the dialogue in that game with a fine-tooth comb. They're going to be hyper aware of the shortcomings of Suicide Squad and then compare it. So they just have to like actually nail it across the board, because the expectations are very, very high, but people's tolerance for funny business is at an all-time low with them. So they cannot mess around. They cannot screw around. They can't do any of the like kitschy, campy, stupid stuff that they were doing in Suicide Squad. They've got to nail it. And whether or not they can remains to be seen, because a lot of the people that made the Arkham series so good literally left and followed Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker. There's still a lot of talented people at Rocksteady, obviously. You know, they are very talented over there. It's just there were a couple of very, very, very weak links in that chain that caused the entire thing to collapse, and they just can't afford to have weak links at all. So we'll see. We'll see. What's my prediction today for the US match? 6-7. I have no idea. I don't really follow it. I don't know if we're in a good spot or a bad spot. I honestly have no idea. I wish I had more to contribute to the conversation, but I really just have no idea what's going on. T-Bone, thank you for the 5. The Last of Us by the team that makes the Plague Tale series. Dude, that actually could be really cool. That could be really cool. I do love Plague Tale. I love it dearly. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Let's shift into another topic. Are you ready? New segment. Fam, we got a new AC Black Flag resynced info dump, new gameplay, new pictures, new gameplay descriptions, new things that they've changed since the reveal in April, all sorts of goodies. To start it off, I want to show you an exclusive, that isn't exclusive to me, but an exclusive from IGN look at the Edward and Caroline cutscene. What is this specifically? Well, as you can see, it's described. Edward and Caroline share a slightly awkward moment over a mug of hot chocolate in this cutscene from Black Flag Resynced, the upcoming remake of the fan favorite pirate-themed entry in the long-running Assassin's Creed series. Going full screen. It actually supports 4K. Color me shocked from an IGN video. Actually supporting max quality. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. What's happening? Let's see what this looks like.
Edward?
Ahoy, Dove. How are you feeling?
No worse. Just a bit of nausea that won't let go. Have you been at the pub?
I only had 1 pint to save up some coin so I could bring you this.
Is it chocolate?
Aye. It's from the Americas. I mixed it myself. Go on, have a taste.
I will say you can tell when something's motion captured because it's all the little stuff. It's like the little shifts in weight and everything. When you like, when everything is like hand animated using the procedural stuff, everything is so stiff and it doesn't move the way that it should. But you can tell when something's actually been captured.
See, as a privateer, I'll find all manner of novelties in the new world. We'll be the talk of Bristol. So, how does it feel to drink like a duke?
Edward, my father is a merchant. I've had chocolate many times.
Have you?
Have
Yeah,
have you-
Edward, this isn't that special. Try harder. I expect more. This sucks. I wanted tea, not this crap.
Not?
No.
Go on then.
Oh. It's nice.
Now watch the cutscene with the screen turned off and see what you think.
We'll save the remainder for after tea.
Just have that for tea.
Oh,
Honest question for Brits in chat. This is like an honest question I've been wondering for a long time. When you guys say we have to go drink tea, I guess I always just assumed that you were like going and drinking like coffee or something. Are you actually drinking like green tea? Is it actually just tea? Is that actually what you're doing? You're like stopping your day, stopping what you're doing, and you're drinking just straight tea, black tea, tea from the Indies, Earl Grey is a little better. Milk and tea bags. It's breakfast tea usually. Okay. Okay. English breakfast tea. Milk and tea bags, isn't it? Okay. 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 Tea equals Guinness. Well, that's the Irish. You don't hear the Irish saying they're taking a tea break. You hear them going down to the pub. Tell you what. Why green? They drink all kinds of tea. I don't know what you guys do. I don't know. We separated a while ago because you guys are doing silly stuff like that. You know, we had enough. And so us Americans, we're like, we're done. We're done. But, you know, I respect you guys being as like, however silly you want to be. Like, that's fine. But, you know, I find it amazing. You know, culturally, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. Well, look who's being more silly now. Yeah, dude, have you seen, what was it? Like, wait, what restaurant? There was a restaurant that revealed a coffee, one of their coffees that had like so many. Oh no, it was the Crumble Cookies coffee. And dude, it was so sugary. that I think it was crumble, wasn't it? I'm gonna have to look it up. It was so sugary that it was like an actual health concern. Cookie, coffee. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It was like the insanely sugary drink. Maybe it wasn't crumble cookie. Oh man, do you guys remember what I'm thinking of? The coffee that was like, you know, 1,800 calories or something. What was the coffee that went viral for being ridiculously sugary? I can't remember. Crumble's gross. Dude, I can't do crumble cookies. Like, it's too sugary. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, and then I swear to God, we'll get back to Assassin's Creed. Oh, was it Duncan? No. No. Part of it, I can't find the original post that I'm thinking of, but yeah, there's some like viral posts that are going around of people's like custom coffees, which are just ungodly. I think this is somebody making their coffee creamer for the week, but I'm choosing to believe that because I can't even fathom consuming this much. Dude, they DoorDashed it too. That's the icing on the cake. Oh my God. Oh my, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. It keeps going. Oh yeah, stir it naturally. You wouldn't want it to be too concentrated. Bro, it's so unbelievable. Yeah, I can't lose weight. I don't know what's happening. I go on a walk once a week and get my coffee in the morning. Dude, 17 pumps of pumpkin. That's ridiculous. A little coffee. Yeah, you gotta have a little coffee with your sugar. There you go. There you go. So yes, we don't sit around drinking tea, isn't it? We drink that kind of thing. To be fair, I don't think I'd be able to have more than like a sip of that. That looks like one of those drinks you sip and then immediately you can feel your blood thicken. You know, you have it and you just immediately start smelling metal because your brain is exploding. That's what I think would happen. No way, this person isn't dead by now. Dude, they might be. They might be. Okay, what is this deep dive? Well, as you can see, so they stress all footage and stuff that they're about to show is from a work in progress build. Make sure to watch in 4K for the best quality. HUD settings may vary depending on capture to showcase examples of customizable options, etc., etc. And then they are joined for this breakdown by Paul Fu and game director Richard Knight. Richard Knight is the same gentleman I told you guys about, who I walked in the room and he like sees me come in and goes, Luke the Mold Stevens. So this is the guy. This is the guy. Who knows? Maybe he's watching. You never know. So what did they showcase? Well, they showcased a few of these basic things that have been mentioned before, but they specify them in a little bit more detail. So new endgame chapter is coming with Black Flag Resynced. If you've played the original Black Flag, then you know the character of Blackbeard is likely burned into your brain, like the fuses he wore in his hat. With a new set of 8 additional missions, you'll experience Blackbeard's expanded story, which unlocks at the start of the final sequence in the game. Look out for the quest in the hideout. You'll have to play the game to find out what's in store for you and how the tale of Blackbeard unfolds. I have an idea of where it's going. It may be sad. It may be sad. We will see. We'll see. Officer side missions. These have been described previously, so they did share a little gameplay snippet. So there are 3 new officers, Padre, Deadman, and Lucy. They offer new quests and new challenges, new areas to find. Sleep Dart while he's taking a whiz. That's crazy. They also changed that animation. So previously the camera like whipped around when you did the double assassination. Now it doesn't do that. They actually listen to feedback there, which is cool. So they show a little snippet of this. These honestly, I'm kind of braced. I don't know if bracing is fair. I'm expecting these are more just like get through them. They're probably more busy work than anything. Because the Lucy quest line for me was like really jarring. It was so clearly not original. I just wasn't a big fan of it personally, but we'll see how it turns out. At the very least, it's original content. It's not like it's not necessary, but it's also like it's optional and it's additional. So it's not like they cut content to put those in. It is extra content on the side. But you know, so I guess you get what you pay for, but it's for me, I think there are going to be more quests that you just get through to move on. They show some of these officer perks. So to get an officer, when you get them, they unlock new gameplay abilities and features. So they show in ship customization, each of the officers that's been recruited, and you can see they each highlight different abilities. So a ram dash, when you have Padre unlocked, Lucy gives you a like ultimate brace ability so that you don't take damage when you're bracing. And then Deadman gives you an extra salvo of fire from the broadside cannons. So they're just like little gameplay perks or like trinkets that you can tack onto your ship. I think they'll be good gameplay additions, especially for end game stuff and late game stuff. And it seems like the new stuff for the epilogue chapter that they described for Blackbeard is going to be really, really, really challenging, which is part of the reason why they've added the officers to give you some extra benefits. And to be clear, the officers was something that they always wanted in the game, even back in 2013 when they were building the game out. They wanted to do it. They just ran out of dev time and couldn't do it. So now they can do it. Beyond that, they showcase a couple of other things. New Blackbeard and Steed Bonnet quests. Starting in sequence 8, a new treasure quest sees Edward sent on a hunt by Blackbeard to not only uncover loot, but cement Blackbeard's reputation as a builder of a free society. You'll have to play to discover more and uncover the twists yourself, but check out the Health to the Company cinematic trailer we shared recently for a taste of what's to come. And this, if you have not seen it, is a cinematic they dropped about a month ago that they actually worked with Darby on, and they mentioned that the song that was selected was chosen by Darby, or suggested by Darby.
Here's a health to the company.
I believe they said the original, and then I'll let it play and I'll shut up. I believe they told us when we were in Singapore that the original intention was for Anne Bonny to be singing The Parting Glass again. So it would be the same song from the end of the game. But Darby himself was like, I actually know of another song that I think fits perfectly with this and would still retain the punch of that song being special to the finale. And so they followed his advice and did it this way, which I really like it. So I'll shut up.
There's a health to the company and one to my lass. Let us drink and be merry, all out of one glass. Let us drink and be merry, all grief to refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again.
Rum tastes sweeter among friends, pirate. At it again, Kenway. I thought you'd be done chasing fairy stories. Not yet.
There it is. Dude, the whole time I watched this, I was like, dude, just imagine if this was like a trailer that drops out of nowhere and it was a reveal for like a sequel. Just imagine if you had no idea about Black Flag Resynced or anything, and you see the pirate ship, and then it starts to zoom in. You see Jackdaw on the ship. And you're like, what? What? You hear the singing and Bonnie's going, and then this shot right here. Bro, I would crash out so hard. It's probably good it's good that they did it the way they did with the reveal the way they did it. Because if I had seen this, I might have like gotten extra crazy hyped up thinking that it was like you know, a sequel reveal or something. But hey, it's never too late. Never say never. You never know. But having said that, that's the new cutscene. I think that looks really, really good. And I think it is cool. As you can see here, you'll receive a letter from Steed asking Edward to meet with him on a mystery island, or on Mystery Island. It's just called Mystery Island, where you'll be able to uncover what happened to the legendary gentleman. This quest unlocks when you start sequence 9, and the additional quests can be found in your hideout or appear on the map once available. Which also sounds very, very interesting. I'm excited to see what that's like. Additional Animus Rifts. The Resyncs focuses on the tale of Edward Kenway. There are 4 optional rifts with which each relate to some of the key characters in the game, such as Edward, Blackbeard, and James Kidd. These will conclude, well, you'll have to discover the conclusion for yourself by seeking them out. They mention that these rifts are what have replaced the modern day segments. It's going to be new stuff. And they specifically said it's to explore alternative timelines. Like what happened if Edward were corrupted by wealth and fortune and things. And so I'm not sure what to expect from these, but we'll see. Also, the fact that there are 4 rifts and they're specifically described as optional. I'm very curious about these. I want to know what those are like. And it sounds like it's going to be specifically like little treats for people that seek them out specifically. I think they said that you can play through the whole game and never see any of them, and they want to support that. They describe how some of the structure has been reworked for different things. So each quest in the game was built from scratch, says Paul Fu. The directors all did full playthroughs of the original and made notes as they went to point out areas that of the game that were most confusing, things that didn't make sense anymore in a modern game, and what could be improved. The result was a lot of changes, sometimes small, sometimes large, to level and mission design. The biggest changes are clear right from the first mission. We adjusted some of the details of parkour paths, scripted events, collectibles, and sometimes even the layout itself. The goal here was to make traversal more intuitive and coherent while also maintaining believability and honoring the spirit of the original game. The cities and locations all still followed the same general layout as they did before, but the details have been reworked and revisited to match the modern parkour mechanics. Some missions and objectives have also been updated for a better experience. For example, some tailing objectives have been replaced with investigations or new stealth objectives to increase variety of activities and better fit the story. Changes like this have been made across the map, so even if you know the original like the back of your hand, you'll have plenty of new parkour routes to explore and exploit with new mechanics. And all of that, I think, is good. Having played the original recently, it is a game of its time, and it also, like, it's hard to describe, but bro, it feels like in the main story, a solid like 40% of all missions are tailing missions. Like, and they are bad. Like, they not even like maybe good, maybe bad. Like, they're just bad. Okay. It shows you how good the rest of Black Flag is, that it's a classic and that people love it so much, even with those really, really bad tailing missions. But redesigning some of those and restructuring a lot of it, I think, is the right move. Because if you put that in the game today, people will be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Many assassination missions have also been expanded with optional objectives and secrets, says Paul. We wanted to expand on the lore of the assassination targets without violating the original narrative. For example, in one particular mid-game assassination, you can find a target's room with a hidden reward by eavesdropping on some soldiers. Another change we've made is when you unlock the rope dart tool. Previously, it was an item unlocked a little later in the game, but in Resync, you'll get access to it in Sequence 3, giving you a lot more options throughout the game when dealing with enemies, both for stealth and distraction, as well as a tool that holds its own melee combat. Tailing missions, this is another one, as I just described. They overhauled a lot of it, so now it's not an instant fail. They added a little bit more variety. With this one, how have Templar hunts, assassination contracts, or assassin contracts, and naval contracts changed? Templar hunts from the original game have been reworked to meet the standards of modern parkour and provide a commensurate challenge, while also updating the narrative a little to fit better into the updated experience. You can still expect to unlock the same rewards for your hard work by using the 5 keys on the locked gate in the hideout. Assassin contracts return and can be picked up in major settlements at Pigeon Coops. We've remixed these a little to distribute them more evenly across the map and rebalance them, while also fleshing out the character contracts with additional dialogue and deeper motivations, reworking their introductions to weave them more seamlessly into the narrative. Rewards for naval and assassination contracts have also been updated, including some new items that weren't available in the original game, which is cool. This is also, I just find this one funny. They've added a skip time feature, okay? You have to be out of combat, for one, okay? You have to be out of combat, but they've actually added this in where now you can skip time forward. And bear in mind, this was not available in AC Shadows at launch. For some reason. Just like that. How hard was that? It's great. You want to go sailing at night? You can do that. You want to go sailing in the day? You can do that. Just shift time forward. I still to this day have no idea why it was cut from Shadows. Like they said that they wanted players to deal with the situations before them, like, and not try to manipulate it by rolling time forward. But I was like, bro, it's called AC Shadows. Like, the big mechanic in the game are the shadows. So, like, what do you mean? Like, what if it's the middle of the day and I'm Nawe? I'm gonna wait till nightfall to go and break into the castle to assassinate the target. Why on earth would I be like, oh, well, it's noon, I'm gonna be busy later? Like, it never made any sense. It never made any sense. You need sun for shadows. Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God, you're right. I just was so bizarre. It was such a bizarre and weird choice to just remove it for no reason. Like, other things, like the torch, they got rid of the torch, which made shadows, of course. Like, you could ignite torches and braziers and things, but you could not carry a torch. They cut that from AC. They had it in Valhalla, they had it in Odyssey and Origins. It was also bizarre. Like, they just cut so many things in Shadows. It was really, really weird. And a lot of the excuses never made sense to me. It's like, okay. But like the day night shift was the one that made absolutely no sense. It just didn't make any sense at all. It's like, guys, why not move forward into nighttime? Like, again, I could ramble about it for hours, which I did when I talked about AC Shadows a lot. Okay, what else do we have? Where did I put it? The hideout. Every rogue needs a hideout. Edward is no different. As you progress through the game, you'll unlock a hideout, and on Great Inagua, the Isle features a small village and a villa on the hill overlooking it, where you'll house your collection of treasures, be able to manage a fleet of captured ships, access new side missions, and even collect a regular income from the residents of the island. As you can see here, they do have a bunch of stuff here that's described there. They say that just beware of spoilers if you don't want to know about those and you don't want to see those. So I'll forward past them. But they did share a quick little teaser video showcasing some of the stuff that you can collect, some of the things that you may recognize.
5 keys to open this.
Display different things. Completionist runs are about to go brr. All the little collectibles, fill them out. Just a good touch. Just good. Like it. Like it. Select the painting you want to hang. That's a good touch.
The sun sliding below the sea is a sight matched only by when it rises again.
It's beautiful. That is a beautiful painting. I want one. Not that one, but a print of it. Anyway, Patrice, hey Luke, just read an article from The Information that Microsoft has considered spinning out Xbox, making it easier to sell/create joint ventures. Do you think anyone would actually buy Xbox? You have to ask who has the money. And if you're including everything, they are very, very expensive. Like, if you're including Activision Blizzard, if you're including ZeniMax, if you're including all of their studios that they own, all of a sudden, not just, and then you tack on the brand, the platform value, all of that, like, you're well over $100 billion probably. And I don't know anybody in the tech space that has $100 billion except Apple. And do you really want Apple to own Xbox? Probably not. So I don't think Apple would want to buy Xbox. I don't think they want to deal with that. It's way more headache than they're interested in. And bear in mind, Apple's typical business, they want like 30% margin. Xbox is at 3%. There's no shot I think Apple would buy them. So I think they might consider spinning it off, but I think they would spin it off. Microsoft owns the shares of it, but it's its own company. Maybe it's a privately held company. I don't know what they would do. Probably some financial wizardry. But yeah, as for selling it off, I just don't see who has the money to do it. You know, like Elon. Well, Elon's stuff, most of Elon's wealth is tied in Tesla and tied into SpaceX now. But he's not allowed to sell it. So yes, he has a massive net worth, but like he can't sell his SpaceX stock, and most of his Tesla stock he also can't sell. So there's just, he wouldn't even be able to buy it, you know? Now, Berkshire Hathaway could. Berkshire Hathaway right now, dude. Berkshire Hathaway cash. I forget. Yeah. Right now they are sitting on an estimated $397 billion in cash. So they could buy them, but I don't think Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, Berkshire Hathaway likes buying boring businesses that have strong fundamentals, and that is the opposite of what Xbox is. So I do not think that Berkshire Hathaway would buy them unless they could buy them for like 30 billion, then maybe. But I don't think that they would want to mess with that. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. So they show a few other things, new events in the world. They show some of the puzzle stuff. This is interesting. So like this one, these small moments add just a little color to the world, says Knight. They're not intrusive or constantly telling you what to do next. They just bring Edward and the people who inhabit the Caribbean to life a little more and make the world feel more immersive. And if you keep your ears open, you might just get a hint as to where you can find one of the new shanties we added. Let's see this. So these, it's a Spanish civilian. These shabby sailors by the docks brought some peculiar spiky fruit from the far south. They're stranded now, poor fools. But God, does their cargo turn the nose. Peculiar, my friend. That fruit is a delicacy. They got durian fruits.
We'll be picked up, I'm sure. Neither seas nor storms will keep me from my love.
Come off it, man. Ours was the only ship to sail the passage from here to Singapore. No one's coming.
This map's been marked. On the map. We'll find another
Could
ship
be
to
treasure.
sail us back, and we'll recover it. The fruit, the cargo, everything.
The fruit.
There you go. There you go. I do like those little additions. I think that's all great. Whenever an NPC is able to make a reference to something in the world, it really elevates it. You know, a little something where they comment on a building or something in the environment, it just makes everything feel more alive. Combat difficulty settings. You can see that they have forgiving, intended, and hard, and they separated out into combat, stealth, naval, and activities difficulty. So you can really tweak it the way you want. In the case of AC Shadows, they also did this where they separated combat and stealth difficulty. My general recommendation was to just play certainly stealth on very hard, because it made it actually feel like stealth. Whereas combat, when you crank the difficulty, it just turned enemies into sponges. But we'll see how this works. Typically with Ubisoft games, though, made in Anvil Engine, I usually say stealth difficulty, crank it. Other stuff you can play with and see what you like, but stealth almost always is better when it's on the harder difficulty. Activity difficulty specifically, this refers to exploring shipwrecks, hunting with the harpoon, and hunting with the harpoon. Creatures you meet while diving will do different amounts of damage, spawn more or less frequently, and Edward will have more or less time to dodge incoming attacks. Similarly, the setting will affect the damage Edward does to his prey, incoming damage he receives, and even Edward's ability to interrupt incoming attacks will be affected, with the hard difficulty requiring a perfect attack to prevent them. So, whether you want to push your limits or just see what happens next in Edward's Tale, try playing with these settings to find the ones that fit you best. So there you go. That's just like a broad breakdown on the game and a lot of little details on each individual tidbit. Big info dump. We are in the home stretch though, fam. I mean, we're less than a month away. It launches on June 9th, and I personally can't wait. I want it now. Gimme, please. Gimme now. That's how I will ask nicely for it. I am pumped and very excited. I need it. And that is all. You know what I also need? An update on Far Cry, which isn't going too well, apparently. And same with Ghost Recon, which also is having trouble, evidently. New mini segment. This is coming from Insider Gamer. I can't read. This is coming from Insider Gaming. It's an exclusive report from Mike Straw, who says, new Ghost Recon game development struggling as Ubisoft makes changes. Development of the next Ghost Recon game isn't going over well. According to sources close to the game, many of those working on Project OVR, or OVER maybe, are, quote, bracing for impact, end quote, after management changes were recently implemented. In a memo shared with Insider Gaming, Project OVR recently failed to meet internal alpha objectives, leading to Ubisoft bringing in Bruno Gallet, or Gallet maybe, as senior producer to lead the Project OVR team. In addition, VP of Production Jean-Baptiste Duval and VP of Global Creative Office Julien Sansalone were brought in to be more present on a day-to-day basis, including being on the work floor. Ubisoft did not return a request for comment. As far as why the game has seemingly missed objectives, people who spoke under the condition of anonymity, of course, they have said that the game has been plagued with, quote, unrealistic deadlines and poor planning and management. This is my surprised face. Seems to be a pattern. During the review, alternative production plans were promised or proposed, but the Ubisoft HQ team rejected them. Some within the company believe that the directors are doing what they want as opposed to listening to HQ feedback on the game. It's never great when you have differing feedback from decision makers and they just decide to ignore the people, the head honchos. I do find that interesting though. Like Ubisoft HQ is rejecting. So like in Paris, they're reviewing the game and they have notes and things they want changed. But then the people working on the game are just ignoring that, which is interesting. If I were to receive this email on a production, it would generally mean things are in a bad way, one source said. Project OVR's development and success are a priority for Ubisoft. The memo mentions as much, adding that the foundation of the game is strong. Still, the recent changes have staff at Ubisoft, specifically within its Paris studio, concerned about whether or where these changes lead. Internally, there are rumors among employees that the game could face either a complete reboot or outright cancellation in favor of a different project if things don't improve. There have already been what were said to be silent layoffs at the studio, and staff are expecting more layoffs to come in the near future. Again, like this is one of those that should be a moneymaker for them, but they just can't get it figured out. And once you have this dissent within the development structure where like you have, of course, the game development team, and then you have the directors on the project, but then you have the head honchos at HQ and the corporate guys, and they all disagree about what they should be doing. It's really hard to make anything, much less a video game. And it's one of the strengths of some studios with like seemingly Phantom Blade Zero. They've had a really, really streamlined development process with a very, very strong leadership leading them all the way through. With something like probably CDPR, they always seem to have very clear visions of what they're doing. And that's just something Ubisoft has not been able to figure out. And paired with this reporting was a follow-up comment made by Tom Henderson, who runs Insider Gaming, who said, quote, we'll also add that the next mainline Far Cry game development has also been abysmal. He's probably going to write a piece on it, honestly. But yeah, apparently it's been abysmal. He also follows up that Recon was originally this fiscal year, March, I believe, but they've pushed it into next fiscal year. I'll have to ask about Far Cry because things are changing pretty much on a monthly basis at the moment, which is also not great. Like, again, Far Cry is supposed to also be a moneymaker for them, and it also is like in danger of reboots and total overhauls and all sorts of stuff. It's just not in a good spot. Not in a good spot. So I wish I had something fun to report, like, ooh, a cool leak that looks amazing, but nope, it just seems like it's still in development hell. So there you go. There you go. This, I believe, is the comment or the piece you guys were talking about Xbox, though. Patrice mentioned it. Thank you again, Patrice. So Patrice, new little segment thing. Patrice, with a very generous $10 super chat, said, hey, Luke, just read an article from The Information that Microsoft is considering spinning out Xbox, making it easier to sell or create joint ventures. Do you think anyone would actually buy Xbox? And this is coming from a few different places, but it looks like here is one. It's a locked article, but the title from The Information: Microsoft has considered spinning out Xbox, plans new Halo and Fallout games. The quote grabbed by Wario is, as Microsoft gets ready to overhaul its struggling Xbox gaming unit, it hasn't ruled out spinning out or restructuring the unit as a wholly owned subsidiary. So Xbox would own it. Okay. Which could make it easier to sell later or create a joint venture with other partners, according to 3 people with direct knowledge of the discussions. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella and Chief Financial Officer Amy Hood have approved of Sharma's plan to spend more on top-tier games in the coming fiscal year, beginning in July, although the budget is not yet locked in and could change. Nadella and Hood haven't ruled out restructuring Xbox's relationship to Microsoft at some point in the future, if doing so would make Xbox a more successful business. Options on the table could include making Xbox a wholly owned subsidiary of Microsoft, a joint venture, or spinning out Xbox entirely. Which, to be clear, Microsoft operates LinkedIn and GitHub in that way. They are subsidiaries as their own business that Microsoft owns completely. It could serve as a potential blueprint for Xbox as well. I think that there's just general like benefits in terms of corporate maneuvering that comes with that. You have more agency. You're not held to the same financial standards as the rest of Microsoft's business because they don't have to report it the same way as they would if you were like part of Azure or something. So there's benefits to that. You can see that they don't have any imminent restructuring plans though, so they're looking at it. In particular, Xbox will move faster on developing new games from beloved franchises that it owns, including Halo, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls. The people said Fallout and Elder Scrolls are 2 particular areas of focus for Sharma. Fallout New Vegas 2, baby. We might actually get it. You might actually get it. I think there is a chance that Asha looks at it and says, the biggest slam dunk is New Vegas Remake or New Vegas 2. Like, just do that. But funnily enough, I don't think people want that coming from BGS. I think they want it coming from Obsidian with a lot of the OGs. Obsidian just wrapped up Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed 2. We know that they are Avowed as well. We know that they are considering a sequel for Avowed, or it's even in production. They said they don't, like, I don't think they're doing a sequel for Outer Worlds, but they were considering doing it for Avowed. It's not impossible that she just says, put that on ice, you're doing Fallout now. Especially because we know Asha is not afraid of just like doing what like the fans want. I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. I don't know. Cheap wins and pandering to online fans equals Banjo and New Vegas. Exactly. It gives them a little bit of time to figure out the rest of their stuff, because right now what it seems like is happening at Xbox more generally is they're just trying to stay afloat until hardware loosens up and the business makes a little bit more sense, and the pressures aren't as great. So if they can just survive enough to the point where they can like maybe make hardware in some measly profitable way, that could be really, really beneficial and helpful. But that's not happening until 2028. So like what I just think they just have to survive a bit until things loosen up, and hopefully next gen they can kind of kickstart a resurgence. But as of right now, it's just about staying afloat. And to do that, that means a lot of layoffs. I'm sure it means a lot of restructuring stuff. They just have to find a way to do it. I don't envy them though. It's bad, man. It's bad. I hope it's not Obsidian after Avowed. Well, I think what part of the package deal would be is that they need to, just like with Black Flag Resynced, one of the selling points is that the people working on it, a lot of them worked on the original game. Like Paul Fu was in charge of the E3 demo for Black Flag, and he's the like creative director on it. Jean Guidon was an original creative director on Black Flag, and now he's in charge of the franchise, and he's also supervising that. So I think having some of those OG guys is important, and I think they would need to bring back some of those guys to Obsidian as part of this project. But even that, let's just be real, that is not a slam dunk either, in the same way. Like, we can say it's a slam dunk because it'll do well and get a lot of like positivity and excitement. But that still takes years. Like, it should have been greenlit by Phil Spencer years ago. And it sounds like if it was greenlit, it was greenlit earlier this year, probably. And so it's still like 3 to 4 years out, most likely. I mean, if you're doing a remaster, that's quicker. If you're doing a remake, that's faster than a full sequel, but it's still a lot easier said than done. And Xbox kind of needs W's now, and they don't seem to have a lot of them like queued up. Like, I think they do have some stuff that'll do well. I think, like, you know, Gears will do well. I think Halo will do well. I think, you know, Fable, I think, is really going to blow up. But I think they need a lot of those. You know, they need Call of Duty to do really well this year as well. They can't afford another blunder. So we'll see. We'll see. Sarah, thank you for the membership, my friend. It was Crumble. They made a dirty soda with 186 grams of sugar. Oh my God, dude. That's insane. Willem, thank you for that. We Southerners have sweet tea. So yeah, a lot of, I mean, that stuff, I don't even know if you call it tea. It's mostly just sweet. Just sweet. Dread, Luke, did you get to play Control Resonant at SGF? Do you think it has Game of the Year potential? Would love to hear your take on it. No, it was the one that we couldn't get in our schedule. They had a very, very difficult to work around availability. And so it was basically, we could choose between Control Resonant and then like 2 other games that were doing like behind closed doors looks and stuff. And so we just had to pick one or the other, which is unfortunate. But everybody I've talked to who played it really, really loved it. And for some people, it was their game of the show. For some people, it stood out and was like the highlight of their trip. So I, as far as I can tell, it seems like it's been received very, very, very positively. I just personally have not tried it. So that's where I'm at. Clockwork should do well. I think it'll do well, but I'm just expecting it to be a solid like AA shooter with RPG stuff. I'm not expecting it to be, you know, full AAA treatment. I think it'll be smaller than a lot of people are expecting. I'm expecting it to be shorter because it's a small team making it. It's like 100-something people. So I think it's just important to not get your hopes out of whack. But I do think it'll be really good. I just don't think it'll be AAA behemoth, you know. That's my my guess. Oh no, Mesopotamia, we did talk about the Stellar Blade thing. You're talking about how you're talking about like the main character looking like they like hired a preteen. Like, no, we did talk about that. It's whenever you have to talk about a main character and it's like, no, she's not technically a child. That's not a good, you don't want to do that. You're already losing. You're in a bad spot if you have to be like, no, technically she's of age. You don't want to do that. It's like Chris Hansen peeks out from around the corner. So no, we did talk about that. Yeah, it's I wouldn't be surprised if there's a tweak to the design because it's just not something you want to even think about. You shouldn't have to ponder that when talking about the game. Let's see. With the FIFA World Cup happening in America, will the boost to the economy help the gaming industry? No, I mean, not in any tangible way. It'll help the hotel industry and like airlines, sure, but I don't think it'll affect gaming at all. Hey Luke, do you think the gaming industry has had a jolt lately? The past few weeks brought exciting reveals. Is it genuine momentum or just hype? I mean, I would say they can be the same thing. Hype can push momentum. Hype can really excite people. It's just you have to have delivery at the same time. Like you can't just rely on hype forever. You have to have the product at the end of the day. So if execution on all these things is well done, then they'll end up being the same thing. But I think there is a desire for exciting reveals. I think there is a good energy, but it doesn't change the reality of where the industry is, which is in a rough spot. I mean, like I'm not a doom and gloomer. I'm not saying that like, oh, gaming is dying. Like anybody who's like, the games industry is imploding. That's not the case. It's just that the games industry is in a rough spot and it needs a lot of, it needs overhauls and reform. And there's certain ways we used to do things that don't work anymore. And so it's just as with any industry, it needs to go through some changes, but that doesn't mean that it's dying. I mean, it's bigger than it's ever been. So, yeah. Please help me stop being a Bethesda fan in today's time. I can't take it anymore. I love Fallout, my favorite franchise, but damn, it's okay, Archer. It's okay. You're gonna get a new Fallout game probably in like 2035, and by that point, you know, it'll probably review okay, and you know, you can go back and watch the show, which they probably won't screw up in season 3. So just hang in there, man. You got this. It's okay. You'll be okay. Last of Us by the team that makes plays. Oh, I did read that one. Let's see. Wilhelm, we Southerners have sweet tea. I read that one. Okay, I read that one. And then, Sarvajesh, thank you for the membership, my friend. Also over on Twitch, I'm invisible. Resub, thank you for that one. And then it's Beast Mode. Thank you for the sub as well, my friend. Thank you. I'm just grateful we got Skyrim and Fallout 4. Those were the days, my friend. While back. Those were the days. 15 years since Skyrim. Let that settle in. Feel old yet? 15 years. There are kids who were born and were babies when Skyrim launched that can now legally drive. Figure that out. You're old. Deal with it. Deal with that. New rumors suggest 2029 for Fallout or for Elder Scrolls. I do think Asha is doing everything she can to expedite. It's just a matter of how do you do that? Like Bethesda's output has clearly plummeted unless they made some sort of major overhaul. Maybe what she does is that she like brings in other studios to be support studios, and she's just like, Todd, here's 1,000 devs. Make both games right now. We need them ASAP. We need Fallout 5 before 2030. I don't know how that works, but yeah, if she can find a way to do it, then yeah. Do we think the Elder Scrolls 6 will come sooner with changes at Xbox? Sooner than what? Sooner than it should? Or sooner than it would have? Like, what is holding back Elder Scrolls 6 from coming out this fall? It's not, I would argue it's because it's not done. And the reason it's not done is because they have a bunch of stuff they want to do. And the stuff they want to do takes time. And how do you make it take less time? You get more devs, typically. But more devs is kind of like, at least it seems with games like this, it's sort of like a graph of diminishing marginal returns, you know, where like when you are a tiny team and you go from 10 devs to 50, there's a massive productivity increase, right? But when you go from 50 to 100, it's maybe a little bit less. And as time goes by, you can add more devs, but as you're adding more devs, your productivity isn't necessarily increasing at the same rate. And eventually it'll start to flatline, because as you get bigger, it gets harder to manage all these people. It gets harder to unify them under one vision, you know? It's really, really hard to maintain productivity when you're that big. So for BGS, this is kind of what's happened. Like from Skyrim to Fallout 4, they saw huge productivity increases with what they were able to do. From Fallout 4 to Fallout 76, they expanded a bunch with BGS Austin and all that. But even then, it wasn't that much bigger. And then, like, as they expanded with Starfield, they added a bunch more people, but it doesn't seem like they really got that much more productive. If anything, like with BGS, it feels like the chart is more like this. So, like, as they've continued getting bigger with more people, at times their productivity is actually dropping. Like they're putting out less content for their games. And when they do put out content, it's received worse, it's smaller, and it's buggier. Like, so I don't think for BGS, based on what I have seen, I don't think just throwing more devs at them or more money at them will actually lead to a faster release of Elder Scrolls 6, or certainly I don't think it leads to a better one. So I don't know how Asha would expedite. I just don't, especially because it's BGS as a company is basically Todd Howard, especially Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I don't think Todd is going to go hands off with like Fallout 5. I don't think so. I think that's one of his babies. And so you're kind of limited by his capacity. I don't know how dual development works on that. So I just don't see it. I don't see it. I understand there's some people being like, oh, well, if it's Asha's priority, she'll get it out faster. But it's like, how though? How? Just throw more money at it? How does that actually speed up production? You hire another 200 people? Okay, well, how do you get them working productively in the workflow of what you're doing? Like, I just don't see it. Would love to be wrong. Both as a fan of Fallout and Elder Scrolls and as somebody that talks a lot about BGS, it would be good for my business and my gaming life to have these games come out super fast. But I just do not see how it's possible. But I would love to be wrong. Would love to be wrong for so many reasons, but we'll see. We'll see. But anybody who's saying Fallout 5 by 2029, I do not think so. I would be, whatever the word beyond stunned is what I would be. Like I just cannot fathom how that would even be possible. Let's see. Charles, thank you for the membership, my friend. I can't read. Jasper Saintheart, thank you for the 5. A Elder Scrolls 6 wishlist video called The Least Delusional Elder Scrolls 6 Wishlist is amazing. Highly recommend as a Bethesda fan. I think I had that on our to-do list for a while. That sounds familiar. The Least Delusional Elder Scrolls. Yeah, I think I did have this on our to-do list for a bit, because we did look at another wish list video.
It's almost like a rite of passage for every Elder Scrolls YouTuber.
Jesus Christ.
So why don't we do the same and set ourselves up for disappointment together? This video is pure speculation, delusion, and masochism, and will leave you more bricked up than a proud son of Skyrim seeing a female Khajiit for the first time. Never ask a Nord nationalist.
Don't Google it, by the way. We could circle back to this later. That could be interesting. I am just so interested in how that goes and where we end up. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see how like the fandom reacts to it. And I'm just so ready. I'm so ready. Let's see. We will get Creation Club 2 before a new Elder Scrolls or Fallout. Well, I think Todd already alluded to them using Creation Club the Creation Engine 3 for Elder Scrolls 6. You remember previously in the like marketing of Starfield, he was saying, no, Elder Scrolls 6 will be built with Creation Engine 2, the same tools used for Starfield. Starfield launches, everyone goes, bro, really? And now they're talking about how it's going to use Creation Engine 3, an overhauled version of it. And inevitably, there's going to be people who kind of fall for it, and they're like, oh, so it's totally new now. It's going to be way better. It's like, it'll have some new bells and whistles, sure. But it's still going to be the Creation Engine, okay? Hate to tell you. That's just how it is. I will say there is, even with Starfield, there was a lot of people that were of the mindset that, like, have some goddamn faith, Arthur. Like, there were people that were just like, stay positive. Todd knows what he's doing. Even if parts of Starfield don't make sense, have some faith. Have some damn faith. I don't think I can remember a time, even after Fallout 76, where there's been this much like skepticism and even at times cynicism around BGS. Like people, a lot of the fan base is kind of sick and tired of it. And it feels different this time. So I'm sure once they reveal it and they start doing trailers and Todd gets on stage, the narrative will shift again and the hype train will start going. But I do think there's a lot more people that will be guarded this time than previously. I have a plan, Arthur. We need money. Have you heard or seen anything of Supreme Experiment that's currently in development by chance? It looks to have the ingredients to have the ability to really fly if they stick the landing. I don't think so, but I will pull that up in another tab and look it up. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Oh, wait, no, I think I have seen this. I have seen this. Yes, I have seen this. It does look really cool. Very, very like dystopian and machine. Is it mechanical horror? I forget the term for it, but there is a term for that style. It does look really cool. Put a cube in it. Yeah, there you go. I swear to God, if there's a cube in Elder Scrolls 6, I will laugh so hard. So hard. I will laugh so hard. That'd be so funny. Let's see. They got very big competition now. Warhorse, New Bethesda in my mind. They have that hunger. And that's the thing is that I hadn't even really thought about this, but you're right. So Warhorse has already said the next KCD game is coming, or Kingdom Come game is coming next fiscal year. That means April of 2027 to March of 2028 is when it's currently scheduled. I think Elder Scrolls 6 is probably coming that fall of 28. So you could have a Warhorse KCD game in March of 20 or February of 2028, Elder Scrolls in the fall of 28, Witcher 4 in the fall of 2028. Dude, talk about a battle of the medieval fantasy like RPGs. Man, 2028 could be the year of sword swashing RPGs, because I know it's not technically fantasy with KCD. It's technically like historical fiction. But I also keep saying KCD. All they've said is that the next one is Kingdom Come. It's a new Kingdom Come adventure. They did not say Kingdom Come Deliverance adventure. So the next KCD whatever game, I don't know if it's actually going to be Kingdom Come Deliverance. It might be Kingdom Come Exodus or whatever, so I'm intrigued by that. I don't know what they're doing, but that's coming soon. So you never know. Dude, looks like I'm gonna be broke in 28. Yeah. Kingdom Come Resonance. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, KCD is historical with light fantasy. It does have it has like potions and stuff, so I guess you could say that in that context they have it. But yeah, certainly not fantasy in the same way that like Elder Scrolls or The Witcher are with like full on magic. Okay. Sword swashing. Yeah, it took me that long to think of that word. How crazy is that? We are about to be bombarded by top-notch RPG games from Warhorse, CDPR, and Larian. And Larian with Divinity whenever that comes out. Bethesda is going to drop Elder Mid in the midst of all that. They're doomed. Well, this is the thing is that like BGS, they were the kings back in 2011. By 2015 with Fallout 4, they were being compared to CDPR and they started to kind of fall behind. By 2023, Starfield, yes, it's a space game, but as an RPG, it launched the same year as Baldur's Gate 3. And there is no competition. Like there is no competition with that at all. Like they're not even in the same universe. And that's why like Starfield, you kind of have to pivot away and say that it's a different genre entirely. But Elder Scrolls 6 has always been pitched as like a sandbox RPG. And they're going to be going head to head with Witcher 4. Like, bro, I don't know. So I would not be surprised if part of the pitch of Elder Scrolls 6 is that it is not an RPG, that they specifically frame it as an adventure game. They like try to get away from the RPG comparisons. And honestly, I think that's probably the best choice. If you're not going to do well with the RPG genre, don't try to compete. Like, don't step in the ring with Tyson if you know you're not going to win. You're just going to die. You're going to get pummeled. And that's kind of what you're doing when you try to step up to the kings. You know, when you try to do an RPG and pitch it as like the next big thing, and you have a ton of high expectations because it's an Elder Scrolls game, you got to be willing and ready to like go head to head. And that's just a tough battle, man. Bethesda devs will be on Blue Sky begging us not to expect those standards for them. I think it comes down to marketing. It comes down to presentation. And if they can frame the game properly, they won't be held to that same standard because the expectations won't be there. It's why I always said like Starfield could be a really, really phenomenal game if it was just not trying to be X, Y, and Z. Like it's not going to out Space Sim, Elite Dangerous, or No Man's Sky, or Star Citizen. Like it's not going to beat them there. It's not going to outcompete any of the other RPGs in RPG design or consequence or anything. Like, and that was the fundamental problem, is that Starfield just, other than ship customization and building, it didn't do anything well. Like, full stop, period. Like, it just was mediocre across the board. And that's why with Elder Scrolls 6, you have to figure out what is the thing it's going to do amazingly well. Like, what is the thing that ES6 is the best at? And that I don't know. Like, will it have the best combat of any game? Like, is it going to have the best facial animations? I mean, we all remember what Todd was so excited by, right? Todd described this as the future. So, like, what is Elder Scrolls 6's thing gonna be? I don't know, man. Chances are, it will have the best magic system. We can hope. We can hope. Dude, I kind of forgot about how crazy this was. It's so uncanny. It's so bizarre. But yeah, maybe the best magic system. That's true. They could do really well there. I think the thing they could really, and they have typically and historically excelled at, is open world design, like making environments interesting to explore and fun to explore. They could do really well with that. But that's paired with other elements and modern expectations, such as like technical limitations. Players expect there to be no loading screens in their open world games, and when there are, it's really jarring, as we saw with Starfield. Players expect traversal to be smooth and seamless just in general. They like having mounts that are really good and varied. Graphically, people have high expectations and standards, and that's the other thing. Like, I can already see in my mind's eye the comparison videos between like Witcher 4, Fireball, and Igni, you know, and Fireball within Elder Scrolls 6. You know, it's going to be fascinating, but we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. It's going to be a crazy time. I really think 2028 is going to be the year where a lot of the pedestals of like RPG open world design are established firmly, because you're going to have a lot of the big boys releasing stuff right around then. And it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Jack, thank you for that one. Hi again, mate. How far from release do you reckon Elder Scrolls 6 will have a gameplay and new trailer? I personally reckon 8 months from release. Yeah, my prediction has been that I think that it's going to be used to showcase and sell Project Helix. So I think whenever they reveal that is probably when they show it. So if they show Helix next summer, they'll show Elder Scrolls 6 with like a trailer or something, a little teaser. If they're going to wait for Project Helix until 2028 because costs are so high, which they probably should, then I think we probably see Elder Scrolls 6 revealed there and then released like 6 months later in the fall. That would be my expectation. But I personally don't expect the game to come out until 2028. And we know Todd doesn't like to showcase stuff early, despite 2 days ago was the 8th anniversary of the reveal of Elder Scrolls 6. 8 years. Feel old yet? I do. Pretty aight. Thank you for the 5. Do you think Todd stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he has created? I do think Todd, when he looked down on his creation and he saw the load screens omnipresent, I do think Todd wept. I do. By Helix, Luke means the Xbox 720, of course. Yes, quite. I think they are desperately trying to figure out what the hell to do. I do not envy them. The more info we get about Xbox's situation, the worse it gets. Like, again, no joke, just to put this in perspective, this is insane. Asha says, we will end this fiscal year at about 3% accountability margin, down year over year, excluding Activision Blizzard King. Over the past 5 years, we have spent over $20 billion on ongoing investments in our content platform and hardware subsidies. They've already been eating losses on Xbox hardware with the price hikes. That's crazy. But our annual revenue has declined nearly $500 million during that time. Going forward, this cannot continue. Yeah. And the reason it can't, dude, if you as a business are sitting at 3% margin, to be clear, you have to take risk in order to make that money, because there's a chance that you don't make 3% margin. There's a chance you lose money. Maybe you launch something and it doesn't go over well and you lose money. So you're taking risk to make potentially 3%. One of the basics of finance is that U.S. treasuries are calculated as risk-free, okay? So risk-free just means that the only way this wasn't, like a treasury doesn't pay is if the U.S. government implodes, right? So if that happens, we'll have bigger problems than anything else. So you effectively price treasuries at zero risk. Today, 2-year treasuries are trading at 4.8085% today. So what that means is that mathematically, you can go and make more money on a risk-free investment into treasuries than the average investment in a project at Xbox with much higher risk. That doesn't work. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like if I went to you and I said, hey, give me $100. There's a chance I'll give you back 110 and you will have made $10. Like, okay, there's a chance. Like, what are the odds? It's pretty risky, like 50-50. You'll either get 110 back or you might only get 90 back. Okay, so it doesn't seem like a great deal. And then you look to the person to my left and it's alternative dimension Luke, and Luke goes, yeah, I will take your $100 and I will 100%, at the same time he might give you back some money, I will 100% give you back 100 and, in this case, more than that risk. So I'll give you back 115. Zero risk. You will absolutely get it. So then you're in this spot where you're like, I'm choosing between maybe making $10, 50-50, might lose money, might make 10, or I can absolutely make 15. Why in God's green earth would you choose to maybe make 10 if you can absolutely make 15? That's where we're at right now. Xbox is the one asking Papa Satya and Amy at Microsoft to give them money to maybe make 10 when they could go and with 0% risk make 15. Like, that's effectively what's happening here. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. If you're confused, that's exactly the point. You can't operate a business like that. The only way to fix it is by cutting costs, downsizing, layoffs, things like that, canceling projects, shutting down studios to lower down the cost so your margin goes up. That works. To put in perspective, Nintendo operates at like 15% margin. I think PlayStation's around 12. 3 is abysmal. 3 is abysmal. I don't think Asha knows what she's doing. Well, to be clear, Secret, this is a problem she has inherited. So this was maybe Asha doesn't know what she's doing. I think so far it's too early to tell. We won't see the fruits of her labor for another year or two, but it's pretty clear while we don't know if Asha will be good yet, what we do know is that Phil and Sarah were running this business into the ground. Like, bad. Nobody really understood. Like, we knew that Xbox was in trouble and things weren't going super well. But, bro, this is bad. Like, this is company about to implode. Like, if this were my company, and I were not owned by Microsoft, of course, like that kind of is the cheat code for Xbox. But if you're just a company with 3% margins in a really high risk industry and you're losing market share and your only upside potential is hardware that's gone up 5x in cost, no bank, no investor, no one would work with you. No one would entertain this business. It doesn't make sense. It is a broken business, and that's where they're at. And there's not an easy fix for it, which is why they're going to have to like desperately reform it. Like whatever layoffs are going to start in July, they're going to be bigger than people expected, and they're going to be a lot more aggressive. And I think there's going to be even more as the year goes on. Like it's going to be a lot worse than like any of us thought. Like this is going to be messy, but it's the only way to salvage it. Let's see. Like when Elon bought SpaceX, if he was an accountant, he'd measure treasuries, or he'd buy treasuries instead, but he's not. So he made a risky investment. He believed in it. Well, exactly. That's why Xbox hasn't been shut down yet, is because Satya thinks there's the potential to salvage what they have here. What we're saying is this whole situation, you cannot continue for 5 years. Like you can't do that. It just doesn't work. So what Satya's clearly doing is that he and Amy have come in. They said, Asha, you got to fix this. They got rid of Phil and Sarah because they were just steadily trendline going down. And so Asha's coming in and she's being tasked with fixing it. And the only way to fix it is to improve the margin, which you do by laying people off. You either make more money or you make it so you're spending less. Kind of how that works. You know, if you want more money in your pocket at the end of the day, you either need to bring more money in and then stuff is taken away, leaving you more, or you need to, if you can't increase the money coming in, you gotta find a way to stop spending as much, and that'll leave you with more in your pocket. And that's just the tricky bit for them, is that there's not evidently an easy way to make more money right now, quickly and sharply. And so the only thing left on the table is to make cuts. And that's what they're going to do. So we'll see. But yeah, the layoffs are going to be a lot more aggressive than we see, than any of us thought, I think. Let's see. Luke, in your opinion, do you see Xbox pulling games off PC with the resurgence of exclusives? No. They'll do the Xbox. They'll do the console exclusives. But I don't think that they're going to be pulling anything off PC. I think that for them is an easy moneymaker. It's part of PC Game Pass as well, like the Xbox Game Pass on PC. Like that's a big thing for them as well. Like transparently, if they got rid of PC Game Pass, like everybody I know would be canceling. Like one of the biggest appeals of Game Pass for a lot of gamers is the ability to access Game Pass on PC. So I don't think that they would ever do that. Personally, but you never know. I'm sorry, but Double Fine is probably going to be closed. The studio is making cool games that just don't sell. Yeah, well, it's like we were saying earlier on stream. It's just there are games that go on Game Pass that still perform amazingly well on Steam. Forza, I mean, dude, earlier today, they were at over 124,000 players. That's insane. A few days ago, 160,000. Like, they're doing amazingly well, okay? And the all-time peaks, bro, they were peaking over 300,000 players for Forza, okay? So, being on Game Pass does not mean you automatically do badly on Steam. But, like, Double Fine, and I love Double Fine, to be clear, I don't think this works. You know, like, yes, this wasn't a super expensive project, but that I don't think this made money. Do you think this was like a net positive? Probably not. It was Kiln and Keeper, I think. Like this one is at least a single player game. The other one is a multiplayer game. But you know, I just, as somebody who's a fan of Double Fine, I'm worried for them as well. Because if Xbox is looking for companies to shut down to save some money, they're going to choose to keep the ones that make money and cut the ones that don't. And that's going to be, I'm worried for them. I'm worried for them. I hope not, but time will tell. It looks like a very niche game. Yeah, it's just, it sucks, but one of the pitches of Game Pass was that studios would be allowed to make wacky games that they wouldn't be able to make otherwise. And now it seems like they'll be punished for doing that, which is insane, but that's just how it is. People have never heard of Kiln. That's why it didn't do well. Well, and part of the reason people haven't heard of it is that it didn't like ignite any fire in people. It's like a fun, silly game you play for like an hour and then you just move on. Like it's just not, it never really made sense to put a lot of effort into that pitch, but they did it because it sounded fun and wacky, and it is fun and wacky, but it's a game you play like one time on a Friday night with your friends and then you never touch it again. And I think that that's just unfortunately how it is. 3 years. My goodness, Kappa Claus, that's crazy. 3 years. Thanks for all you do. What have you been playing off camera lately? I've been replaying Baldur's Gate 3 with some friends on honor mode. Oh, that's awesome. I have been going back into Crimson Desert. Low-key addicted. It's a bit of a problem. Playing, of course, Civilization, mostly Civ 6 with Nikki. We do that. And then just last night, I made what may eventually be a mistake. I got really hooked on Monster Hunter Wilds again, and I think I may start grinding the end game of that again. I stopped because there weren't any hunts that were really challenging. It just got too easy, so I stopped playing. But they've added a bunch of stuff in the last like year or whatever, and I might go back in, put another 20, 30 something hours into that. I could do that. When I go hard with Monster Hunter, I go hard, man. It's a bit of a problem, but here I am asking for help. Jack, thank you for that. I feel bad for Shirley Curry the most, in my opinion, as the poor lady has been waiting for the new Elder Scrolls and said herself she might not be here for it. Oh, Grandma, what do they call her? She has a... Yeah, Shirley, but she's like Skyrim Grandma Skyrim. I forget what the nickname is, but yes, I hope they get it together. I think they scanned her. She's in the game. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's I hope they get it together for her. And then Elita Savage, thank you for that 10. Don't know if you've seen the Matthew Ball interview. We did look at it earlier on stream actually, but he said they're going to focus more on big IP and less on niche games. So I'm afraid for Double Fine and Compulsion and Obsidian. Obsidian I think will be fine because they're kind of like, I've heard them compared to Insomniac. They're like Xbox's Insomniac because they can put out pretty solid games very regularly and just pump them out. And that's true. Like, are they making AAA like $500 million profit generators? No, but they're making reliably good games that I think perform well on Game Pass. So I think for them, they're probably safe. The ones that I would be worried about are like Compulsion, and I'm worried about Double Fine. But we'll see. I just hope that, you know, if they do end up trying to shut down one of those studios, that they open it up for purchase. Like if they need to get rid of Double Fine, open it up, let an indie publisher, let them turn independent, let them go and get purchased by PlayStation or something. Like, please. Anything. The ones that honestly might be in trouble, don't be mad at me. Arcane, where have they been? Like they revealed Blade, what, 3 years ago? There's like nothing. Blade game. No, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, December of 23. Like, where have they been? The other half of their studio, Arcane Austin, put together a little game called Redfall. Where are they? You know, still nothing to show. Any news? No. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's crazy. So I'm just braced because I know the news is going to be bad, and I know there's going to be it's going to be pretty devastating. Because operating at 3% margin, there's no way to lightly fix that. It has to be like severe. Like there's no way to just gently deal with that. It's bad. It's bad. Anyway. Okay. I think I'm caught up there. Okay, my friends. I am going to call it there. We had a good time. Thank you for chilling with me. This was lovely. I will be back on Monday, rocking and rolling. And we will probably have a good number of things to talk about, Lord willing. But I'll be back on Monday, and we'll get back in the regular groove of things. Cannot wait to talk and see you there. In the meantime, we'll have a couple of videos going up in the next couple of days on the main channel and here on the live channel. Look forward to sharing those with you. But until next time, my friends, much, much love. I will see you very, very soon in the next stream or video, whichever comes first. But until then, my friends, much love. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.